Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Welcome to RGV Aerial Photography's deep dive into images he captured this week around the shipyard and launch site in Boca Chica, Texas. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
3, 2, 1.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Starbase Weekly. This is episode number 25. And today we'll be reviewing images that I took on Thursday and ground images that were taken yesterday. And I'll pass this along to Indian Star.
Hey everybody, happy 25th episode. So excited. I'm going to go ahead and say hello and pass it over to GPJ.
Hey guys, it's Grandpa Joe, everybody's favorite space grandpa. And oh my god, I can't believe it's been 25 episodes at 3 hours apiece. And it's been really great hanging out with you all those hours. And with that, over to my main man, Mr. Zach Golden, fresh back from Germany.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Good afternoon. I guess I should say good morning first. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, depending on where you guys are at. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm really excited that we finally got some flyover photos to show you guys again. It's always a fun week waiting around to find out whether or not we're going to be able to get up in the air. As you guys can see, there's always some clouds that play a factor into whether or not it's a good time to go up there, depending on the day. And there's also other factors that come into play as well, which something we're going to start the show out with today because we got really close to not getting a flyover in this week. I guess I'll let you, Mauricio, tell you guys a little bit more about that while I swap over and show you guys this video that was taken as Mauricio was planning to take off. I guess he was really just trying to start the engine at this point. But yeah, Mauricio, do you want to give us a little background on this?
So like you mentioned, usually it's, we're used to the weather delays, cloud issues, and, thunderstorms or, just the cloud ceiling in general. But this time around, it was due more to maintenance and mechanical issues with the aircraft. And I don't know if you want to play that.
Yeah, I was going to turn the volume down so it doesn't drown out your voice too much. Hopefully we'll be fine on that.
Yeah, this was a bit of a cursed air trip. You tried to fly quite a few times this week, didn't you?
Yeah, we had I don't know if you can hear me or not, but we had some issues with the rudder, and then we had some issues with the battery and the alternator, and That's part of the reason why we couldn't do the live stream last week. But this time around, it was more due to, I'm not sure. I think we just flooded the engine. I'm not sure if you can fast forward just a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so this is you trying to start the engine at first. And this has happened previously, right? Like just having issues getting the plane going. And it looks like it's about to turn over every second.
I know.
Yeah. Well, you can pause the video if you want. I guess so I can. I'm hearing that there's some type of clipping and I guess it has to do with the video playing and so forth. But
that's fine. We'll go ahead and swap back over. While you're doing that,
so
I'm actually going to play some footage from as you were taking off. Instead of that video, and there will be no audio on this one, so we'll be fine on that.
Well, while this is playing, Mauricio, I want to hear all about your journey for your pilot's license and how that's going.
pretty good. The only downside of it is I don't fly as often as I should. People out there that are learning or getting flying lessons, they know that being consistent on flying is the key to learning the most out of your lessons versus taking a week off or a week and a half off. That's not really feasible because you end up forgetting a lot of what you learned. But I like it a lot. I should have been doing this from the very beginning, but it's fun. It's fun. I'm getting the hang of it. I'm still a long way to go until I'm good to go to get my pilot's license, but we're getting there.
You're with a certified pilot in the cockpit, but this is you taking off, right?
Right. Yeah. So the pilot's right next to me, and I put in hours here and there, but not all the time. It just depends on the situation. This time around, I was actually doing the flying, so yeah, right there we're just taxiing to one of the runways. I think this was runway 13 that we're headed off to, and it's fun. I love flying.
Yeah, it looks fun as heck. And you're flying out of Harlingen?
Harlingen, Texas. We're flying out of Harlingen, Texas, and it's about 30 minutes just to get to 10,000 feet, and then from there we head off to Starbase.
This is pretty awesome. I remember when you used to live stream takeoff pretty much every single time, and I think the last time you did that was when we were attempting to get hoping that we were going to catch something different on that flyover. You were trying to, in a way, do it without it being announced, right?
I feel like it was tricky because at the beginning we used to do live streams, record the takeoffs and everything, and surprisingly, it wouldn't cut out over Starbase because we're so low. We're like at 2,500 feet above the ground, so it was pretty interesting for people to see Starbase from the air live. That was pretty badass. But aside from that, once they raised the TFRs, that was out of the question. We lost signal at about 3,000 feet or so, and that's my takeoff. Tried my best to stay on the center line there, but just got off just a little bit. But we're still.
I don't think anybody's judging you in the comments. Hopefully, I think it was a pretty clean takeoff right there.
I think the fact that you're actually flying is amazing.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's it doesn't get old. It's just you don't get bored of that. I can tell you that much.
And the fact that you're going up is always good.
The other awesome thing is kind of what you have to do in order to take pictures. I mean, it's cool for people to kind of get this view of what the cockpit looks like. So basically, the window that you take photos out of is the one on your left, obviously, and it's to some degree behind you, right? So when you start taking photos, you're handing over controls to the other pilot, and then opening that window up and just sticking the camera out and having at it, right?
Right. So right before we get to the site, I hand over the controls to the pilot, and he takes over. I get my gear from the back, and I just start getting ready. Put on my gloves. Set up the camera. Obviously, put a strap on the camera so that a harness so that it doesn't fly out of the window. And yeah, it's pretty routine. Don't really struggle with it at all whatsoever. It's become a routine on these flyovers. It's more of an issue if y'all can see the aircraft issue. Scheduling is more of an issue to me. It used to be the weather, but this time of year it's been getting a lot better to fly, better flying conditions lately. So it's not the weather this time around. It was the maintenance and the issues with the aircraft. But we got it done. That's the good thing about it. And we got some fresh image. Oh, like somebody put it fresh out of the oven. Not sure who that was, but it was Thomas. But yeah.
I'm trying to pull up this. I forgot to download the video with you actually taking photos out of the cockpit. But what I was going to mention was, I guess you had some camera issues this time around too, right?
Yeah, we had some issues with the camera, but any donations or any contributions, they will be going towards a backup camera fund. Just in case, just because we had some issues with the camera, but I think they've been addressed. The issues with the camera, I was getting some camera errors up there, and could be due with the temperatures. I know somebody asked about how cold does it get up there. Well, just for reference, the ground level temperature is about 90 degrees, or it feels a lot hotter. I know yesterday we got up to like 103, but up there, incrementally, the temperatures go down by like 10 degrees every 1,000 feet. So up there, you're looking at about 50 degrees, 60-degree weather, Fahrenheit. But it seems a lot colder just because of the wind speed that we're traveling. So, it feels more like 40, to be honest. It's pretty uncomfortable if you don't wear a jacket and all that or gloves. But yeah.
Yeah, got to be prepared for that one for sure. I actually got some. I think I got this ready so I can show you guys. Mauricio taking pictures out of the window. Let's see if I got the right screen up here before I swap that. All right.
Yeah, the thing I was noticing as he's going up, all the clouds that he's dodging, getting up there. And look at all those clouds
this is amazing.
below. Oh wow!
So you guys can see first of all the coast. This is Mexico in the background. Pretty much everything you can see is Mexico, correct? I think and Rio Grande down there.
Just I guess a warning: if you get too close to Mexico, this GoPro image turns yellow just a little bit. But I was just joking. But
that's crazy.
I'm doing a Breaking Bad reference, or pretty much like any shows that once you go to Mexico, they put a yellow
alarm like you're out of bounds.
Or they get that yellow filter. It's more of a
sepia.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Like it's the old West. Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. I'm glad we got that footage. It's really cool. Just like letting people see kind of how you do this. And it's not easy, especially being that high up. You really can't see what you're looking at a lot of times. So you're just like rapid fire taking photos, right?
Yeah, just it's like I said, it's routine. It's just I don't think about what I'm doing anymore. I just do it. Right here in the image that you're displaying, I'm taking that camera. It might look kind of sketchy the way I'm photographing it, sticking it out the window, but it's secured. The camera's secured, and there's really no issues with like the wind speeds and all that. They're manageable. It's not a big deal at this point.
You have a strap on the lens in case the lens pops off.
Right. It's mainly on the body for the most part. The lens is pretty secured as well.
Oh, good.
I'm securing the lens there, but yeah. Somebody asked in the comments that how high up in the air does the property rights extend? I'm not sure what But yeah, the airspace is governed by the FAA. So I don't think. I guess that it just depends. That's more towards like drones. I have more concerns towards drones, like people fly over your property. There's kind of gray areas and stuff that you might want to look into your jurisdiction or the municipality where you live at.
Did you
That can assist with that. But
did you also happen to see the question? Crane Man was asking, how can you hold the camera without moving with that wind stream?
it's well, the harness helps out a lot. It's more of a safety factor there with the stream with the harness securing the camera, but it's just have a steady hand, and that's pretty much it. I mean the lens has a how should I say, has a support underneath so that helps out a lot.
There's also a question from the coffee enthusiast asking, could you hook it vertically to the bottom of the plane at some point?
No, that's just way too much issues. I was thinking at one point to secure a Starlink dish, but to the back of the inside of the Cessna to be able to live stream from up there. But it's just gotten to the point where this is a lot more feasible. You can't really do two things at once unless I have somebody else with me. But yeah, it's a lot of things that I want to do in the future. A lot of side projects, but that's just way too complicated at this point. This is the most um, feasible thing to do at this moment. Just use the camera for the images. They work out pretty good.
So Michael earlier on asked a question: do the road closures govern the airspace closures? So a little bit of background there. There is a standing TFR, meaning a flight restriction, of 10,000 feet, where airplanes are not, unless otherwise authorized by the FAA, are not supposed to fly below 10,000 feet over Starbase. That's why Mauricio always has to be up that high. Now, on a flight day, they do what's called an unlimited TFR. So that's one of the main indicators that we're watching for on if there's going to be a launch that day. And they really want to keep the TFRs as short as possible to keep the airspace as open as possible. So as soon as the launch is canceled, they'll open up the TFR unless they're going to recycle and try again. So, yep, it changes as governed by the FAA, and the FAA controls the airspace. The county controls the roads and the road closures in coordination and as requested by SpaceX and other companies as needed. And then there's also a third group, the Coast Guard, that handles NOTMARs, which are notice to mariners, and that controls the use of boats on the water. So land, air, and sea are all covered by different agencies coordinated together through SpaceX. Quite the organizational challenge. And one that Mauricio has to play around with every day.
Sorry about that, guys. Sitting here messing around with these settings on here because looking a little funny on my side, but I think we're good right there.
Looks great on my side. Go ahead.
We have a couple more questions for Mauricio. Do you want to keep going while you fine tune, or are we good?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Mauricio, there was also a question, how do you mount your GoPro?
We use a device that mounts on the strut of the airplane, and it's a pretty interesting device. At first, I wasn't so sure about how that thing would actually hold the first few times, so it was more of an experiment at first. But these are actually sold to be secured onto any Cessna with a strut of this sort, either a Cessna 150, 182, 172. Forget the name what it's called, but it's been working pretty good. I've been using it for over 60 flights already, and it's been holding on pretty tight.
Nice. And then there was a question about, do you have a temperature of how cold it is, like an actual number, when you're up in the air at 10,000 feet?
We have a thermometer on the airplane, so I think this past flyover, I think it said about 55, between 55 and 60. It gets pretty cold up there, considering at the ground level, it's unbearable to be there waiting on the aircraft to start at over 100-degree weather.
Yeah,
And
it's hot.
in the winter though, it feels like I feel like the weather could when we would fly, it would go down almost to about 40 degrees, which isn't bad for anybody. That's actually not bad. But with the wind chill, it makes it a lot worse. Feels more like 30-ish, maybe even colder than that. So you have to wear a sweater or a jacket for that.
I'll add in for all the Yankees that down here in the south of Texas, it is very humid, and it is an entirely different, unbearable kind of cold at 30 degrees. When you're up in Minnesota and it's 30 degrees, it's almost nice.
And on that note, everybody's really excited about your backup camera fund. So James Wilson has started off the donations with $10 saying, let's start the backup camera train choo-choo. And then Jack Strix donated 10 pounds or euros, excuse me, and says, as long as I get the animal wagon. Then there's also a donation from Jim Cabot for $10. He says, I'm with you, James Wilson. And then another €9.99 donation that says, thanks, Mauricio, from Crow Guy. So we got this party started early. Well done, peeps.
Yeah, definitely appreciate all your guys' support. It's really helpful, especially, if we run into events like this where, you may have to upgrade equipment. You never want to be in a situation where you're in the middle of trying to upgrade equipment while you're also trying to, do your job. And for sure, Mauricio definitely treats this as a job. I mean, you've been doing this for a little over 2 years, almost 2 years.
Yeah, I've been doing this since 2019. I want to say June 2019. So I would say we're going on to 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, with that, I guess we should hop into the show, guys. We typically start off at the Macy's, actually, is where we've been starting off recently, but I don't think we have any shots from Macy's this week. So, unless I'm mistaken, Mauricio, I don't think we do, right?
No, we don't. Not this time around.
Well, that is okay. We're gonna start today's show off at the Sanchez site. There's definitely some awesome stuff happening this week. We got a lot of facilities that are nearing completion and just entering a whole different phase right now, especially with the launch mount and launch tower kind of, well, I guess we should say the whole stage 0 because you got to include the tank farm in that, all nearing completion. So, the next phase of construction and vehicle testing is pretty much underway. So it's pretty interesting to see a lot of the changes that we have going on. In particular, I have been wanting to address one because I did say a few weeks ago that I think that I was hoping, I guess, that we would see an extension of the rocket garden over here. But right now, it's definitely... I've changed my opinions on that. I mean, we have a pretty good amount of... Just to give you guys an idea of how much space this is, let me go ahead and show you guys the ground image from this. Mauricio got a really awesome image from the ground showing how big this pile of dirt truly is. It's actually not dirt. I guess we should call it gravel. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty massive pile they got going on here.
Oh, wow.
So it looks like, there you also have this, I don't know if you call it rebar netting for this when it's road base. But, I mean, it looks like they're getting ready to add a layer, probably a layer of this down first, and then followed by the gravel on top. So switching back to that aerial view, this is a pretty large lot. And, I mean, I do kind of expect that once all this road base, I guess, is laid down, it will look fairly similar to this. But I don't know. I think that there's a pretty boring answer to what this is. In my opinion, I'm kind of leaning towards additional parking. I mean, as you guys can see, all of their parking is pretty much taken up right now. I mean, this parking lot's always been full, but we definitely have a lot of employees parked on the side up here. And in general, if you guys ever watched the Lab Padre Rover 1 camera, which is always outside of which is actually right up here. That I mention it. When you look down this road, and I don't want to switch views just to show you guys, but there's even more cars going down there. And at the ground fabrication site, there's even more cars parked over there. So and I'm going to have to show you guys that one because it's definitely worth seeing. So let me swap over to that.
So while you're swapping, the original parking lot just used asphalt on top of road base. So we're seeing a lot of that compacted sand preparation, the ground underneath, followed by road base, followed by concrete or asphalt. So definitely a civil engineer would have a lot more insight into what they're doing here, but they are fighting water and alluvial soil that is moving all around underneath them. So anything they can do to shore that up is pretty required for any construction.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, you can see this other parking lot, which they recently finished, already full. You have people parking over on the side over here. So, yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit of, in my opinion, there's a ton more employees down here than there were in previous months. I think recently they surpassed 1,600 employees in Brownsville. So, as it could be boring that this may be just another parking lot, that's still a good sign. I mean, the fact that you need additional parking like this means that we're probably going to see another explosion of progress here soon, which all of us, I think, have been expecting to begin with, especially with the hopeful announcement of the approval of the PEA coming soon, which I'm still surprised that hasn't happened yet.
2 more days.
June 13th.
Yeah. So, wait, you said 2 more days?
The
Yeah,
13th,
on
today's
Monday.
the 11th.
Why would they announce something on the 13th?
Because it's a Monday.
At least it's not a Friday.
Yes.
So with that being said, yeah, I mean, there's still a lot going on in the Sanchez site, minus this potential parking lot or whatever else it could be. Oh, yeah, I was about to say we got some more drainage set up.
GP, I apologize. We just got a massive donation that I really want to call out, and then we've got several other ones. Do you mind if I interrupt you real fast?
Oh yeah,
We just got a
definitely do that.
$500 donation from Thomas Bolden. $500 for cash for the camera train. Thank you so much, Thomas. Like, that is beyond. Thank you so much. And then we
Oh my
also
God.
have, right? And
Thomas, thank you. Wow. Go ahead.
we also have donations from Luke Dehan. He gave 10 British pounds. Then Stephen, and I'm going to butcher your last name, and I'm really sorry, Lawfery. And he gave 10 pounds. He says, thank you, Mauricio. $5 from instruction set for the bills and equipment. Then we've got our $500 donation. And the donations just keep coming. I was about to say the money. I meant the donations. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. It's really awesome the amount of support that comes from the space community. I would guess just call it the team space community, since oftentimes we see a lot of other content creators hop in here, and just a lot of familiar faces in general in the chat constantly. I pretty much, I tend to watch it as we're doing the show. I try not to because I get distracted at times, but it's nice recognizing all of these faces, names, I should say. And with that being said, with 378 of you guys in here, make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't so far. It definitely helps the stream out, getting in that YouTube algorithm to let people know we're live. So yeah, we appreciate you guys for being here. And yeah, we should continue on with updates at the Sanchez site, which kind of weird. I mean, it's still kind of dead over here. That's why I'm my excitement of the Sanchez site has gone down, but we do have a lot of electrical conduit being extended throughout the site. So I'll probably mention that multiple times because there's a lot of locations where this is happening. So they're definitely extending out all of their electrical utilities to cover all of the areas where it's needed or where it may be needed in the future. So truthfully, I think these are I do remember conduit being laid here already. So I think these are actually a layer on top of a layer. So I could be wrong about that. I may have to double check.
I was about to say, I thought they already buried conduit there months ago. So
yeah,
I guess
they definitely did straight through here, along all of these I want to call them boxes, but they're not boxes. They're pretty large. All these small utilities rooms, and it joins right here. And I mean, I was pretty sure that they went this direction as well, but I may have to go back and review the tape on that one.
Yeah, and for those who haven't watched our show every week, that is the electrical building right there, the gas generator that powers.
We have generator and a water filtration system, which is not being used currently, it appears. So we definitely know that this is always active. You always have trucks offloading compressed natural gas here. So this facility is always active. The air separation unit is always active as well too. They've been pulling all their liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen from here to fill up the orbital tank farm. I think they've been averaging about 7 offloads a day, I believe. Indy might know that a little better than I do, actually.
Close to that.
Can you? What you've been tracking these deliveries? You're helping, right?
Helping for sure, yeah. So in the mornings, we've seen as many as 7 to 10 throughout the day. But yeah, on average, it's about 5 to 7. And they come almost every day.
They're definitely. I mean, I think they could fill those tanks up a lot faster if they wanted to, but it seems like they're doing it at a more constant rate so that they can, keep their drivers working. So you have like 3 drivers constantly working instead of 20 drivers working for 2 days. So that's pretty smart. I mean, they're not really worried about boil off in those tanks as much. So the way they do that is makes a lot of sense logistically.
That really makes me want to figure out if they're burning through 7 tankers of liquefied natural gas per day. How much solar panels would that take to make the equivalent? It'd be a lot.
Yeah, most definitely. And we did touch briefly on that booster staging pad not being in that lot that I mentioned, but we still do have the equipment that's needed for a booster staging pad. So it seems like at some point there will be another one in here. It's just we just haven't reached that point yet. And I think we should also be seeing, as we mentioned on previous episodes, these the next booster transport stands start to go together. At this point, it's pretty much they do this. They start at the same time they start stacking the liquid oxygen tank, I believe. So once they start stacking the liquid oxygen tank of booster 9, then we'll see booster 9's transport stand, and this will be TPS number 5, I think. I'm gonna have to count those on my fingers. I think we're up to 5, and then we'll have 6 over here. So yeah, they're definitely making moves. Surprised they haven't started on this already. But yeah, I mean, this is a ton of progress down here in a way, not necessarily within the Sanchez site, but just with equipment showing up, it's kind of good to get an insight on things to come. Speaking of that, I still wonder if they're actually going to use these, because it seemed like they ordered them in an emergency, and then they got here really quick, and they just sat there. So still interested to see if plans have changed since they purchased these, or if we should see that whatever facility that these are going to be used for start to break ground soon. Who knows? Could be already happening. It could be that lot that we saw over there. So time will tell. I don't know, you guys. I don't think there's a whole lot of other stuff happening here in Sanchez site. I'm kind of scrolling through these.
Yeah, I was right there with you, Zach, going through, and not a lot has changed at Sanchez. Yeah, I know we spent a lot of time here whenever everything was in flux, but it is steady state right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely moving dirt around here, just adding concrete in between all these staging pads just to kind of finish this area off. But it's really just like final touches, and then we also do have, however, oh man, is this
the can crusher?
Ship 16's aft section? Possibly.
The ship that shall never die.
Yeah, this is you guys know I don't like to guess ship numbers, but yeah, I believe that
You're getting confirmation
is
too.
16's aft section.
It is 16.
Yeah, it's interesting to see it in here.
They kept
instead
the
of at
flaps
scrap
as
yard.
well, didn't they?
Yeah, we will actually. You know what? Let's go ahead and move over to the wide bay, because there's definitely a ton of stuff happening over there. And as you mentioned, Ship 16 is kind of pretty much all over the place. It's just been disassembled and then spread out throughout the entire facility. And some of it's in a trash can, but um, yeah, here we go. We got flaps laying out here. I don't think I've ever seen a flap get scrapped.
We've only seen them on the ground, and we know of them being made into souvenirs, right, for the
Yeah, I
SpaceX
mean,
employees?
I made a joke earlier this week, and I think it's true that the only way you can scrap a flap is if the starship that it belongs to does it. Like you can't, and even then, sometimes it fails because SN8's flap survived, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen an actual flap scrap before for some reason. Hey, maybe they're just gonna go start putting these things up all over Brownsville.
They'll just prop them up for shade all around, like maybe at the volleyball court. They'll just be littering the landscape.
I mean, it would be kind of cool to see it as like a weird decoration or something on the wide bay, but I highly doubt that's gonna happen.
So there's a
You
question.
put these up, you put the flaps up, and then you make the SpaceX logo in between the flaps, and you suspend it off the back of the flap, SpaceX logo flap. They're not going to do that, but were you saying something, Indy?
There was a question about the transport stands. When we were looking at them, I thought before we get too far away from them, I'd ask real fast on behalf of the coffee enthusiast.
Yeah.
They're asking, why do they build a different transport stand for each booster?
Well, I think the answer for this one is a rather simple one, and it's just because they haven't launched any boosters and they haven't destroyed any boosters yet, other than Booster 3. So, because they refuse to scrap them, they have to build new ones,
Makes sense
which
to
is
me.
fine. I mean, the more the better, I guess. It's always cool when you go down there to see. I mean, the first time I went down there, I saw one starship, and then you go down there now, you see, okay, what, like three starships and a booster, just in the garden alone, plus a booster at the launch site, and a ship, and half a ship, and two boosters, or sorry, 1.5 boosters at the build site. So
And the
yeah,
launch,
it's wild down
didn't
there.
the ship move from launch site? Because that moved yesterday,
Oh,
24th.
yep, you're right.
Woohoo!
So that's back in here as well. Yeah, we got some interesting things laying out. I mean, these we kind of expected more stairs in a way, because there's only one set of stairs currently inside of the. I want to call it the wide bay all the time, but maybe we should call it the mega bay. There's one set of stairs in the front corner, and it looks like they're preparing another full set. These are the only pieces I've seen so far, but I'm assuming there's probably more on the way. Sorry if I'm handing this a little too fast for anybody.
Well, and those three have been there for a while, haven't they?
Well, these two have. They just started constructing this one right here.
Okay.
So I'm assuming this is probably going to be an identical set of stairs as the one that's in the front left corner. This is actually the left, not the right. So the front left corner, they'll probably duplicate that in the right corner, because there's an opening for the stairway we can't really see it anymore from this angle. Now that they've covered everything up, it's right here, pretty difficult to see. But yeah, so there's one here and there's one on the opposite side of the building. So I'm assuming that next set of stairs will be constructed in the front side. And one of the things that a lot of people have said, well, what about the cross braces that are on the inside of the building, the diagonal ones? I'm pretty sure they'll just remove those and then add the stairs and then add those cross braces back. So it probably shouldn't be too difficult to install these even though the roof is already on. I definitely think that we'll probably see a lot more of these stairs coming soon, and then they'll just roll them through the front and install them with the not the bridge crane, but they'll bring in a smaller crane on the inside to do that. Probably Grover, if I had to guess. This thing is so big. Actually, Grover could probably spread his wings. Like he could probably get on the inside of it and spread his wings out completely and lift stuff from inside of this building.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean this is starting to look really good. I like that we got the roof coming on. You guys can see that there's the scaffolding on the back side of the building is complete now. And one thing we haven't seen, I guess until now, is that they've also started on the left side of the building. So basically, this is just a massive scaffolding set, basically for the purpose, I think, of installing windows up here. And you know what? Let's get the ground view.
Would it be for the siding as well? Because they've been doing this. Would it be for the siding as well? Because they've been doing the siding in the top.
Yes, they have actually. So let's swap over to some ground images.
And while you're swapping, they are also discussing building a similar wide bay at the Florida location over on Roberts Roads near Cape Kennedy.
Yeah, I think there was a little confusion at first when the first renders came out, or when SpaceX released their all hands on deck video, which we're going to show later as soon as we get to the Star Factory, because there's a pretty good amount of stuff to talk about over there. But yeah, I mean, it did seem a little bit to some people that the new wide bay and at the Roberts Road facility would be larger, but I think that the footprint of that building includes these external braces, because you can't really build anything next to this, so that should be like, you can't just build another structure right up against the wall. So in my opinion, this should be included in the floor space calculation. And also the actual base of the tower comes out that far anyways, so it really is the true footprint. And the other thing to consider is that these buildings on the side are also considered in that floor space calculation. So right now they have this one on completed on this side, and as of this week, they've now completed the second half. And look, they originally only had this one wall up, this one little box up, but now they've extended that all the way to the front. So it actually looks really cool. I like the way they have those office buildings on the bottom, and I wouldn't be surprised if once they finish up that they add another one around this backside. Actually, yeah, it wouldn't make sense not to do that. So
yeah, and the official plans for the Roberts Roads wide bay call for 19,000 square feet, which at the actual interior volume of this wide bay is 60% smaller, or 60% of that, so 40% smaller. But yeah, that was the unscientific estimation based off of RGV's aerial flyovers. So guesstimation, and they may be using different numbers, like you said. They really don't look that much bigger in the renders than wide bay. So anyway, here's looking for more and more production and an increased cadence. I mean, it really, getting back to basics, it boggles my mind how much space they're going to have to produce rocket after rocket. It's almost like, well, what are they going to be launching so much of? And it's hopefully us to Mars. It's crazy.
First, we got to go to the moon, my friend. Lunar landing first.
A little pit stop on the way, Been there, done that.
Listen, I'm excited to go to the moon.
I'm still holding out hope that... All right, so look at the scaffolding. The scaffolding is about, I'm going to call this about an entire foot below the deck, maybe even more, like 3 feet below the deck of the building. So theoretically, you could build out a balcony. I don't know. I feel like it's a possibility. It's not. I don't think it's likely to happen. I really do think this is mostly just for glass. But theoretically, you could build a balcony and have this floor space right here in order to build that out. and then you just remove the scaffolding as you're building the balcony. But don't take my word for that. Possibility, but there are no signs of that yet. Let's just say it that way.
So it's speculation, eh?
Yeah, I think we should at least start seeing. Well, I imagine they have to do some preparations around the bottom area first, as far as like adding railing for the windows to actually sit in before they are able to install them. But I'm assuming that's probably the next step, is to prepare the edge of this for those windows, and then we should start seeing pretty gigantic window panels showing up soon. They're definitely larger than the ones. They should be larger than the ones that are on the high bay. But as I was mentioning before, let's swap over to that ground image. This is really cool that Mauricio captured this. They've already started adding the exterior paneling on the roof, which looks really awesome, actually. So you can kind of see that it'll overhang and the glass will be in between.
Oh, do you think they're going to drop the glass in through a hole there? Or how do you think they'll do that?
Man, it's going to be really weird the way they have to do that, especially since they already put this paneling up on the side.
I mean, what do these guys know? I would have waited, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably have to drop it down and lift it up through there, which will be interesting to see once they start that. But yeah, this is a lot of scaffolding. And it took them a good 3 weeks to set this up, or I would say about 2 weeks to set the scaffolding up. Yeah, so this is the first side of the building to receive that final paneling on the exterior of the roof. I'm really excited to see what this side looks like, since you have this really large gap in between. Oops. And it continues all the way up to the front of the building. So yeah, this is going to look really cool once it's finished.
The gap gets wider, right? Because the roof is tilted.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a question from Michael Maxey. He's asking, is the upper level of Mega Bay going to be for the utility equipment, like electrical, air conditioning, computers, communication, or for office space? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think we have official word yet, right?
No, we don't.
Have you guys heard anything? Yeah, I don't think. Mauricio, did you ever try? I think we were trying to get some information at one point. I guess I won't go too deep into that, but yeah, I think that's the common consensus, maybe, I guess, is that the most likely thing to go up there, if there's going to be offices at all, would be mission control. You have a ton of office space towards the bottom of the building already now, so in my opinion, having your operations center up here would make a ton of sense.
There is an updated blueprint in our chat for your perusal, sir.
All right, we got ourselves an updated blueprint. Let me swap over to that really quick. Oh, okay.
Oh, and
that is the wrong image.
That's a great image, though.
That is a beautiful image. I want to see
while
it in high
you're
resolution.
Guys, I'll get back to that.
While you're looking for that, everybody always worries that the build site is far too close to the launch site to have mission control there. Well, we did the calculations, and it is perfectly safe. So you'd be fine.
There we go.
Woohoo! Grandpa Joe said we're safe.
Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to close out of that and redo it.
No issue. While you take your time and do that, we also want to thank Instruction Set for another $5 donation. They're saying, if FAA requires mitigation, such as employees being bussed in, will SpaceX build a parking garage or parking lots in Brownsville? I think that's too far. No, Brownsville is too far, right, Mauricio?
Well, it is too far. It's about between 20 and 30-minute drive to Brownsville, but I don't. I assume that if they were to do that, they'd do a shuttle service. I guess I did hear about that at one point, but I won't really go into detail on that.
This is the Roberts Road one.
They do have a shuttle for SpaceX, a little black limousine shuttle that goes back and forth from Brownsville to the build site. So I imagine they might do that for VIPs, FAA, and other dignitaries.
And you're
All right,
right.
go ahead, Zach.
I'm actually going to skip this for now because we're going to cover this when we go to the Star Factory.
Okay.
Grid fins.
Yeah, we will look at the full that full all hands on deck slideshow and kind of talk about some differences. There's only really one difference in between the Star Factory at Starbase and that one. But before we do that, I just want to make sure there's nothing else we're missing here. I think this is the elevator that came off of the high bay, but it's still out here. So it's a construction elevator though, so I have a feeling it's not meant for the Mega Bay. But the fact that it's still there makes me think that this may actually be part of the permanent elevator that will eventually go in there. But there's also some interesting things happening in front of the wide bay, which let me get that over there. Of course, it was the very next image. So maybe this isn't the best angle for it, but you guys can see outside of the high bay, right behind Bucky, the yellow LR 11,000. We have all of this engine, these engine bell protection, basically thermal protection for the Raptors on the booster. And they're pretty much just laid out here, ready to go inside. And we've seen the image that Elon shared yesterday showing the bottom of the booster. And it, to some degree from that angle, looked like it was a little bit more complete than it actually is. But if you look at it a little closely, there's a lot more paneling and bracing that needs to be installed on it before it's ready. So I do think it's a possibility we'll see it next week. What do you guys think?
I think a rollout by the end of the week is totally doable. There are quite a few steps that I would say, are required inside a wide bay, like finish work, piping, under engine shielding, and all the aero covers, as well as the Tesla batteries, the high pressure hydraulic units. Just a lot of finish work, and once that's done, button her up, throw her on a mover, and get her down to the launch site.
Are you looking at your list that you've created?
No, that was just off the top of my head.
Well done,
I do love
Zach.
that list, though.
I know you do.
So
Helps keep me straight.
I did want to show a few. Looks like there may be some disagreement on whether or not it is a larger building, but who knows? Maybe this might actually be the case. So I guess there is, if we look at the some older images, what I was told is that this is that's super small. This is the original proposed plan for Roberts Road, which I guess was 20,400 feet. And what I'm wondering though is if this in here is actually just the inner square, or if it also includes the outer area. So looking at this original plan, or this new plan, it's 32,000 square feet, which is definitely significantly larger. So yeah, maybe it is possible that it is actually larger than the initial, or the ones in Starbase. But yeah, I guess it'll be. I feel like we should be able to see that already in the floor plan, though, just by looking at it. We're gonna have to do some measurements on that this week.
What building
We'll
is
get
it
some
correlating
confirmation
with? I'm
for
sorry.
sure. What was that?
What was the building that it correlates to? It's high bay?
This is the high bay for Roberts Road.
Ah, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, and I was looking for this image of the bottom of the booster really quick, just so we can talk about that before I move on.
The Elon
There's
image?
a ton of images for me to scroll through in order to grab that one. Oh, this is actually a really cool one. So this is from Ezekiel Overstreet on
Love
Twitter,
this one.
who actually added some color to the image. So maybe we can throw the link for that in the chat. Just give him a little shout out. But yeah, so this is the color version of the image that was released by Elon. And yeah, thanks to Ezekiel Overstreet for converting that over to color. It's really cool to actually see the real version of it. I don't know. Elon's a dark guy. He really likes to put everything in black and white, which I don't blame him. But
Yeah. Ezekiel's definitely one of the guys I follow. He often goes down there and photographs. So Here, real quick, I'm seeing a lot of areas that haven't had the thermal protection and shielding on the kind of on the interior middle ring there.
Yeah, none of
Yeah,
them
we have
do.
some shielding down, or sorry, up in here that's missing. You guys can see that most of these engine bells are covered, but over here, these ones are still exposed all on the backside. So I'm guessing that all of those are. So that's at least 13 engines on the back that aren't. Well, you can see this one right here is covered. But yeah, they still have a good ways to go. It shouldn't take that long, though. I imagine it should be about a week, if not 2, until it's ready to come out. But who knows how many people they have working on that right now.
Will they still do
This
the
looks amazing, though.
Yeah, for sure. The external ones too, like we saw, I think it was on Booster 4, where they had the external piece, like the mini skirt, and then the covers to the bells on the outside.
Right. Yeah, this
So
is super
the other
excited to see this
interesting,
progress.
sorry, the other interesting bit of news that came out this week was that they have commonized all the engines. So the center and the outside ring are exactly identical, just with different thrust vector controls. And the vacuums are using pretty much the same engine. It's crazy. It's super efficient for their building process for sure.
Yeah. I think we also, while we're here, we might as well show the Raptor, the RVACs that came in this week as well too.
Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
Which Max Q was pretty quick with.
It's a great picture.
Excuse the man.
Yeah. So here, when I first saw this image, I always look at the scale first, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I did not realize these were RVACs at first, but I just looked at them. I was like, why is that so big? And then all of a sudden, I looked down at the bottom. I was like, okay, now I get it. But yeah, this is pretty awesome to see the first. I believe it's our first sighting of the RVAC 2s.
Yeah, I think so.
Are these the same 3 that were on the video that you made that showed just the tippy tops of them when they first came in? Potentially? Do you remember? I think
Not
they
sure.
might be actually.
So,
Did
real
you
basic
say sure?
question, Indian Star. Why are vacuum engines so big? Like, why do they have such a big nozzle?
Genetics? I don't know. You tell me.
So my understanding was that in space there's no air to contain the thrust. So having that bigger nozzle means that you get more bang for your buck. It weighs more.
You're right. I knew that. Go on.
Yeah. Why didn't you explain? No. Yeah. So it just helps in the vacuum of space. Now there was a lot of engineering discussion about whether they should tighten the throat to get even more efficiency out of it, but it looks like they have gone with the exact same dimensions as the R Boost and the Raptor Centers. So same engine, should be super efficient. If they want to change one to a vacuum, all they got to do is change out the nozzle on the bottom.
Yeah, the bell,
and
right?
maybe a mating adapter. Yeah, the bell on the bottom. You're right.
Yeah. And with that being said, I do want to welcome everybody who just joined us. I just noticed that looks like about 150 of you just woke up. So good morning to those of you who are just joining us, and thank you for being here. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you like the stream. We've so far covered the Sanchez site. We are now in front of the Mega Bay, and we got a lot of stuff left to cover. We have a pretty long section coming up related to the Star Factory, so we'll move on to that here in a little bit. But there's a little bit, some extra stuff out here that we should also mention. If you guys can see this right here, this is the stabilization pin that goes on the side of the booster transport stand. So it looks like
Nice.
these are destined for transport stand number 5, which is inside of the Mega Bay. And let's see if I had a better... Man, it's always dark. You can't see in there.
Mauricio says he's going to fly early in the morning so he can see inside next time.
Well, he did it the one time, right? Last 2 streams ago, where he went to early in the morning and we got to see into the bays.
Here we go. So you can see it a little better from this view. There's 2 of them down there. Got cones, so nobody touched them. But yeah, these should be probably installed on that booster transport stand soon, which is exciting because if it rolls out with these installed, then that means that we should see the chopsticks lift the booster. If not, don't expect to see the chopsticks lift the booster. So these are the most important thing, in my opinion, when it comes to whether or not the chopsticks are going to lift the booster onto the launch mount for the first time. So be on the lookout for that. But look at this just pile of thermal protection. That is a massive amount of puzzle pieces that need to be installed before they can consider this thing completed.
I'm not seeing the HPU covers on here. Are you? Or is
I
that them off to the top
think
right?
Won't they
they
be
may have
covered by
already
the
been
chines?
installed. No, so the chines were installed, but the HPU covers were previously sitting right outside of here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm assuming that they're now installed.
Yeah, there's a image that I tweeted yesterday showing that from the ground images. You can tell.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let me. I can grab that ground image.
And while you're grabbing that, man, look at the massive amount of counterweights that has to go on the back of a crane so it can safely lift
And the
all the
cribbage.
parts of the wide bay.
Cribbing.
Well, this is actually not for lifting parts onto the wide bay. This is for laying the crane down on the ground. So this is actually kind of confusing because there is one remaining piece down here that still needs to be installed, which is this one right here. And I don't think that they can lift that up there with this crane. So, I mean, it is on this edge of the building, so who knows, maybe it is light enough for that crane to lift. But as soon as I saw them load this up with counterweights, I started assuming that they were going to lay this crane down because that's what these are for.
What would laying it down do?
Well, there's nothing left for this crane to do once this building is complete.
I got you.
So it should be leaving Starbase, in my opinion.
Return to sender.
Return to sender, exactly. Yes, I think we're almost there, which is good. I mean, as long as he's been here, been one of the hardest working cranes, built the entire tank farm,
Mm-hmm.
like all 7 of the horizontal tanks in the tank farm. Actually, there's 9 of them. All 9 of the horizontal tanks in the tank farm. Actually, I think Grover did a few of them. He helped with the chopsticks. Lifted the first booster ever,
Mm-hmm.
Booster 3.
In tandem.
Yeah, and what else?
I
That's
really,
Yeah, of course.
that makes me really hope the crane operators are as big a space nuts as we are because man, they're getting to do some amazing stuff.
But it's probably
Yeah.
like everyday stuff for them, just lifting stuff with their cranes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we should see another one of these show up in Florida soon. I highly doubt they're going to send this one all the way down there. I'm sure
I was just
there's got to be
asking.
another LR 11,000 somewhere in between here in Florida. But if not, I would think that they may be disassembling this to send it down there. But yeah, there's literally nothing else for it to do unless for some reason they surprised us and said, "Hey, we're going to build another wide bay over here," which I highly doubt is going to happen. Oh yeah, I forgot about this earlier. Looks like they're building a new fence on the backside of this. Give themselves a little bit of privacy. It's always amazing to me that they have time to do these things with how much they got going on.
It'll be like the volleyball court. They'll have it for the employees, but we'll see if they actually get to use it
I never really see people out here when I'm there. I'm sure
because they're all
somebody
working.
has. Yeah, right. So with that being said, if you guys didn't hear at the beginning of the show, these are SN16's flaps, which are invincible. They even after they take them off, they still keep them on the ground and treat them with care. I'm surprised it's not on one of the flap racks, truthfully.
Those culverts, are they new? The ones right there where your arrow is to the right?
Yes. So this actually connects directly to the Sanchez site.
Oh, wow.
Cool. I can zoom out that far. So it should go directly through to here. And we were looking at that earlier in the Sanchez site photos, which I can go back to quickly. So we can see on this side of the on the where you exit the in the garden past Booster 5, they're extending all of this electrical conduit as well. So that could just be part of it over there at the wide bay too, connecting the two of you. The two of them, sorry. So the two of you.
I'll be
Um,
Sanchez, you be the other site.
So I do want to move on to the Star Factory, but we got to cover the ring yard first, because
What?
if we don't,
The
some
ring
people
watchers
are
are
going
going
to
to lose their mind.
feel neglected. Yeah,
There's a little bit going on there.
there is. There is. We got Booster 8's methane. Wait,
Yep.
yeah, Booster 8's methane section still sitting in here. Kind of was hoping that would be stacked by now, considering that the transport stand is now inside of the the high bay. So I wouldn't be surprised if this moves over within the next few days. But with ship 24 in there getting its engines installed, maybe it might take a little bit longer. We also have ship 25's
Correct. Yep. Ship 25.
locks.
HGB.
Yes.
Jax has an image for you. I don't know if you want
Yep.
to pull that up.
They're
Uh-oh.
labeled. Labeled by Rohan. I was going to say Jax, but blue.
Jax 2. Electric
Jax.
Boogaloo.
That's right.
So yes, we have. One second, I'm trying to decide which ones, because I'm not going to open all of them up yet since we're not to the ground fabrication building yet. But we do have
So the ones we're looking at.
good labels here.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So we have.
Nice.
Wow.
Well done, Rohan.
Love it.
I feel like we missed a few back there, Jax.
He did it. Rohan did it in the next image.
Oh, that was Rohan. All right,
Yeah.
Rohan, you missed them. Just kidding. So we have we already named those two in the back. Booster 8, methane, ship 25 locks. Then we have Booster 10, forward number 4, which is wild because Booster 9 hasn't even started being stacked yet. So Booster 9 aft, Booster 9 forward, forward 3, 7.1 forward, B9 forward, a nose cone, and a payload. Or sorry, the Pathfinder for the Starlink payload bay.
Bingo.
So it's really busy out there.
So, Zach, you're
Transport
telling
stand
me,
floor.
depending on how long it takes them to launch Booster 7, they could have Booster 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9 built here and all hanging around. Pretty crazy.
4's already built.
Yeah, no, I mean those would be all the ones that would be in existence at the same time. You'd have a lot.
Yeah, and I forgot that Booster 8 is no longer in the high bay. It's actually in the mega bay now.
Yep, it's in the wide bay. The locks section and the thrust dome are in there. I forget if they've welded those two together yet. I think they have.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm able to see them from any of these views, but yeah, this is the 7.1 test tank, which was moved to the launch. Oh, wait, is this the one that was moved to the launch site after this flyover? Pretty sure it was. No.
Nope.
The E-dome was that one.
Yeah,
is
the E-dome,
over,
right? Yeah, there's two tanks. Yeah, so this one is still sitting there. You know, when I first saw this picture, I thought that this was a new staging pad, but the funny thing is, it's been so long since we've seen this because there's always been a ship on the, like a ship transport stand on here. So there was ship 22 or 21 that sat here for a long time, and then ship 16 sat here for a long time, and now it's the first time in months that this is actually vacant, which is really cool because now on Sentinel Cam, Lab Padre Sentinel Cam, we don't have this obstruction stopping us from seeing through here. So I think a lot of people are excited when they finally got those unwanted ships out of there.
Yeah, you know, SpaceX loves to do their cover-ups.
Yeah, they do. And wow, look at these transport stands. There's so many of them. They're prepared for a lot more ring sections to come out here, and a lot of these look new. So this is a Starship transport stand. I don't know if this is the one that they actually transported on, but it looks like it has
It's brand new.
payload integration. Sorry, stage separation clamps on this, which is what the Starship sits on top of. So yeah, this is the brand new one, and I think the rest of these, it's tough to tell. These are just for putting ring sections on top of. You can kind of see the little teeth that are on the side, so they put naked ring sections on there. And same with this one. And this, I'm not really sure. This could be a booster. This is a transport stand for a booster aft section, I believe, before they take it off of. Before they put it onto the booster transport stand, they move it around on this, and yeah, it's vacant right now. So we'll probably see this moved back into another one of the tents, and then B9's aft section would be on top of that, if it's not already on top of another one.
It looks like the
Sleeping
OLM one.
around.
It has the squid on top, where those white things are that it lines up to the squid. That's what it reminds me of.
Indy, that was a perfectly timed interruption, and thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry.
I'm glad that comment didn't slip through. Anyways, so continuing on. Oh man, so I think we pretty much addressed everything out here. It's kind of hard to see anything else. We do have some. I believe this is engine paneling for a Starship right here, and I believe there's additional paneling in between these two buildings right now. We got some right here. These are for RVACs, I believe, or this could be for. That may actually be for the outer ring of boosters. But yeah, I mean, there's just massive amount of covering going on out here, and we're getting really close, guys. We should start seeing, I imagine, probably center engines being installed on Ship 24 soon, plus the RVACs. So yeah, be on the lookout for those.
Have we spotted any RVACs out in the ring yard or being transported around yet?
Not out in the open, not yet.
They should be coming soon. I mean, also
they're here.
SpaceX is pretty good at slipping them on through.
I think we know they're here. We just don't know which tent. I'm assuming they'd be in tent 1, but they could be making. They could be, shuffling them through different tents right now, because I have a feeling that they're going to have to rearrange these soon. And with that being said, I think we should go ahead and move over to the Star Factory, because
perfect
we got a lot of
segue
speculation to cover on that.
Yeah, you gotta move out all the stuff from tent number 3 to make room for Star Factory Part 2.
Well, there's a lot of options. I mean, so I guess we'll start from the beginning. You guys can see that the Star Factory is nearing, the first section of the Star Factory is nearing completion. And yeah, they have the posts for the walls going up all around. And the very interesting thing about this, there are no doors. So,
What?
No windows.
If you move to the other side, the only door that we have is right here. So I'm going to bring that up again later, because this is kind of wild. Let's take a look at the oh man, I think I may need somebody to send me that slide deck from the presentation one more time, because I accidentally closed out of it.
I got you.
So while she's sending that over, oops.
So there's one door in and no exit on the sides or the center towards the mega bay. There's just that one entrance. That's it. Are there posts right there? Or
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I heard they were trying to ban doors nationally, but so
no more doors.
Did you send that over?
It is. It's in the chat, my friend. And while you pulled that up, there was a donation that we want to acknowledge. It is from Chevy, 55 Chevy guy Steve. He donated $20 saying for fuel donation. And he also has a question that we'll probably ask a little bit later because it has to do with high bay.
Man, I'm a clown. I forgot that I already had this ready to go. So let's swap over to that, shall
You
we?
definitely make me laugh.
Here we do. All hands on deck presentation. I even had a button set up for that. So I'm going to let this play for a little bit. Actually, no, I'm going to swap through this because I feel like most of us have seen the beginning parts of this, and I don't think, as much as I love Falcon Heavy, get to the stuff that's relevant for today. So
There we go.
I'm still skipping over that. We'll get to it later.
Denied.
So first off, we have the Star Factory at Starbase, and then next to that, you have the one at Roberts Road. So one of the important things to point out here is that number one, you guys can see we've kind of talked about this before. That I guess my theory was that the slope that we see on the Star Factory, the current Star Factory, would continue all the way up until the you get to the tall section of the building. So it's a constant slope. I think it's about it increases in height like 5 feet for every 60 feet or something like that. I don't know. I gotta have to look at that calculation again. But yeah, it's a constant slope as you go up. So basically, in the smaller section of the building, obviously you're gonna have all your ring sections that are being welded together, and then you may have 2 ring stacks, and then 3 ring stacks, and then obviously nose cones and 5 ring stacks or 4 ring stacks in the taller part of the building. So moving. Oh yeah, one thing to also address, because I saw a little bit of confusion online as well too about this, is these are the same building. It looks like this one.
It's two different buildings, but it's a copy of the same building, just in 2 locations, right?
Which is interesting because the tall portion of this building is what we're looking at. So as you can see, the nose cone in there. So this is the tall part of the building, which is going to be at Starbase.
And this is in Boca Chica, and this one's in Roberts Road, Florida.
So when you look at how long this building section is, and then when you look at it from this angle, it looks way smaller. But that kind of gives you an idea of how big the entire facility is, because this right here, what you're seeing, is actually that full section. So it's a massive building. And swapping back over to the aerial photos.
And while you're doing that, I'll ask our research team. Someone had rendered out, I think it was somebody in the Ring Watchers, had rendered out what the Star Factory would look like overlaid on the existing Boca Chica site. If anybody has that, please link it.
And the Shard Baby actually pointed out that the Star Factory will be 269 meters long.
Of course.
Of course, not 270.
Well, Shard Baby's an engineer, so he's very up on his numbers.
Clearly, Elon's about those numbers too. So you can see from, let me swap to this ground image. It's a little bit difficult to tell, but we kind of mentioned this before, how, like I said, the building slopes up continuously. Like I said, it's really hard to see from this angle, but it's sloping up and it will continue to do so. And it's already pretty large as it is. So from that aerial view, the interesting thing about this is you have a few options as far as how to proceed from here. So once the roof is on, then they're going to start obviously moving equipment in here from one of these tents. You know what? Let's see. Mauricio, can we put a survey in the chat and see which tent people think is going to go first? Is it going to be tent 1, 2, or 3?
Sounds good.
It's quick for us to do that.
There's also a question about the Star Factory whenever you're ready, GP.
Yeah, of course.
So my username Sucks asks, will Star Factory have a commercial roof like they did in Giga Texas with solar panels, or a metal roof like High Bay?
If they don't have solar panels, I'll be super surprised.
So it will be like Gigafactory or Giga Texas.
I cannot confirm or deny, but I think it may only make sense. It's a very large surface area to not. I mean, what else are you going to put up there? So I think it only makes sense to do that. And they have a ton of. I think they have a bunch of solar panels still laying around somewhere, and I will look for that as we go. But yeah, they're ready to finish this one. I mean, obviously once you get those last walls up, they'll put that roof on. They have all the AC units waiting outside. My thing is, the really interesting part is the positioning of this door. Changes everything when it comes to what can and can't be done in this building. So because you don't have a door on the back, I think you're pretty limited on what you can put in this tent right now once it's finished. Hold on, Marisa, were we able to do that?
He needs a refresher on the question you wanted to ask.
Oh, so the question is, so we have tent 1, 2, and 3. Which one is going to be the one to go as they start the next section of the Star Factory? And that may seem like a trick question, but it's not.
And then PK also added in that it's a 1/4 per foot slope for positive roof drainage on the Star
Thank you.
Factory.
Yeah. So, wait, hold on. I didn't have it? Is Mauricio still with us? I didn't.
Oh yeah, I got it. The survey it's already out.
Oh, there we go. I'm throwing my vote in. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. It's all good.
You skewed the results, man.
So, cool. As these continue to come in, they're just from the start. Wow. This is pretty fun to watch. So, it's almost an even split. Tent 1 and Tent 3. So, I feel like SpaceX has a problem here, and it's not a problem, but there's only one solution to this. So, one thing to consider here as these votes are coming in, maybe this will sway your guys' mind. I'll try not to give away the answer, but so obviously in this tent you have your initial ring sections which are welded together. You have a little area in the front for Raptor storage, and I believe they do. I think all of the 5 ring stacks are in here. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, these two tents are a different height than this one, the nose cone tent. Ooh, I just got a really awesome render, and I will have to show that here. I'm gonna interrupt what I was just saying just to show that. It's really cool.
We make this breaking announcement.
Is this the one from Max Q?
Breaking news. Did you guys know CNN is not allowed to say breaking news anymore? Because
Yes, and they had a countdown. No, not really, but it was fun.
Yeah, so this is from Sushi Fox at Sushi Fox.
Yeah, this
And,
is this is the Roberts Road facility. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. You can see how big that front section is, and it's really cool the way that slopes up. I want to see another angle of this. Yeah, if you guys haven't followed this guy, Sushi Fox, these are really awesome renders. This is the existing building, sorry. So, yeah, hold on, I distracted myself there, guys. Let's
yeah,
let me go
this
back over.
definitely is wow, you know. That's a
Agreed.
great render.
Yeah, this is
it really
pretty
explains it.
Awesome structure. So swapping back over, you guys can see on the bottom of here that there's one level of shipping containers here on these buildings, on this building, and then the actual tent is built on top of that. And then on the nose cone tent, you have 2 layers of shipping containers, and then the tent's built on top of that. So that gives this tent an additional, I don't know, what, like 10 to 12 feet of height. I don't know how tall the shipping container is. Unfortunately, Thomas is not here. So this
13
tent is
feet
taller than the
6
other.
inches with wheels.
What was that?
It's 13 feet 6 inches with wheels.
5
Wow.
water bottles
Thank
tall.
you. So this tent is 13 feet taller. And I think if we look at it from the ground, it's also taller than this structure currently. So that means that you can't just take this, you can't just start moving the nose cone tent into this tent. This is not a nose cone section of the building. So this section actually belongs over here. So that means that, in my opinion, what we will most likely see next, and it looks like majority of you are saying tent 3. Maybe this will change your mind. Given that this can't fit there, I think the best way to go around this, about this, is to delete tent 1, move all of the basic ring sections and Raptor storage, whatever else, into this tent. And then after that, you build the front side of the building, which is the tall part, and then you move the nose cones over into that tent. And actually, you should be able to, once that's done, you should be able to split this one in two. So this is actually 1.5 tents. If you look at it, you can see, like, I mean, you know, these tents are 1 row, 2 rows, and these are 3 rows. So you can put 1.5 tents in this. So that's what, that, in my opinion, I think that's the way to do it, is to move everything from this one over, and build the tall part of the building, then move the nose cones to the tall part of the building. Probably delete this as well too. People are not gonna like that. Stonehenge probably getting deleted if I had to guess. And then once that's done, they'll take both of these down at the same time, split them up in, or sorry, yeah, take both these down at the same time, split them up into the 2 structures, and then build out the middle last.
GB, forgive me, does it go 1, 2, 3 from left to right, the tent numbering?
1, 2, 3.
So 1 is all the way on the left and 3 is all the way on the right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can't really think of any other way to do this without doing it in that order, which would be really cool, though. We'll see that tall structure first before they break this down and join them together, in my opinion. And the reason I say that this needs to go is because once that structure is complete, they're going to need a pretty good amount of parking over here. So I imagine that a lot of this space may get taken up by parking, and I wouldn't be surprised if the stuff that is done in this building, which is all of your downcomer construction and all that, actually this may probably still stay here because it's as easy access to the other parts of the building where you're going to start integrating that stuff. But this building right here probably doesn't need to exist anymore once that's done, and honestly, I'm guessing this one will probably go as well too. So I'm expecting to see a ton of parking. But the problem is, as I mentioned, the door is on this side, and there's not exactly a lot of space here. So it'll be interesting seeing them have to take all of those ring sections and transfer them to these 2 tents as they're building out that first area, if that's what in fact happens.
If I could offer one slightly crazy idea and solution, after you've built, Star Factory 1, or let's say right now this is Star Factory number 4. Once you've replaced Tent 3 with Star Factory number 3, you can punch a hole between the 2 and just start moving rings directly from one to the other, from 4 to 3.
From 4 to 3?
Yep, like that. Just punch a hole in between 4 and 3 after you've shored it up. And I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see how they do that, because you do have the issue of these posts in the ground. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how necessary it is. I mean, if to keep that one post there, like if they removed one later and then remove all the outer paneling there so that they can, create an entrance into the next side of the facility. I don't know if that would weaken it too much, or if these can in fact be temporary. I think it'll take some other folks to let us know whether or not that is possible.
Yeah, and once they build like Star Factory number 3, we may never know because we won't be able to see that far inside.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some people think that it could possibly be tent 1 and 2 coming down at the same time. Uh, that's a possibility. I personally disagree with that, but it's the problem with doing that is number one, this tent is used for booster aft sections, which they lift a ton of stuff into. Actually, wait, those are actually in tent 1, aren't they? Or tent 3? The booster aft tanks, once they put the header tanks, I think they do that inside of this tent. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's up to everybody's opinion. We're all going to think differently. That's just my theory. But yeah, it is possible that they could do both tents at the same time and move them into here. I personally don't see that happening. That's a pretty massive undertaking versus just doing one at a time. So yeah, we'll definitely see.
And
One
so,
other thought is that you could also just spend all of the equipment that you have in tent 1 or 2 and then just start producing out of the Star Factory number 4 there. And then you never move any rings. You just naturally start building and using. And there you go. It all handles itself naturally. And anything that's not being used, you move that over.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen. Well, I think soon we'll start seeing all the little gantry cranes and whatnot that go inside of here show up. I mean, they'll probably wait till the roof's on, but yeah, this is this. In my opinion, they're going pretty slow on this, and this is a thing that I've discussed earlier in the week, just on Twitter. If you guys are on Twitter, then you may have seen this because there was pretty a lot of people involved in it. I mean, Felix gave his opinion. A lot of, I think Marcus chimed in. Pretty much everybody had an opinion on it. As far as sorry, I forgot I was going with that.
You were saying how long it was taking, and I'm kind of glad you said that.
So people were thinking, okay, well, are they going to send starships from Starbase down to Florida? And
No.
I just don't see that happening. I mean, number one, they're going slow on this, yet it's still going relatively fast. At the facility in Florida, they've done the entire foundation of it. All of the posts that they've done for just one section, a quarter of the building here, they've done all 4 sections at the Roberts Road facility. So instead of using 2 cranes, they'll probably use 8, if not even more, because that's how they are. I mean, that's what they did at the Tesla factory. They have just cranes all over the place. And that facility, they're probably more in a rush to complete than they are on this one, truthfully. So I think that one will rise up way faster than this. And with that being said, we all know that high bays or these wide bays take roughly 6 months. When did they break ground on this? I think it was December.
No. They broke ground on this in September.
Yeah, so 9 months.
Yeah. I will say this: looking at Star Factory, how many guys? This is a Thursday afternoon. How many guys do you count out there actually working right now? Because I'm seeing maybe like 3 or 4, maybe 6.
So, yeah, exactly. And I mean, they definitely have way more personnel that they can use at other facilities. I mean, we've seen, like I said, the way they do it in Texas with that with the Tesla factory. So I would not be surprised if we see the same thing happen down there as far as just the speed. So I would be more worried about the equipment that goes on the inside of the building taking a long time to show up and install than the actual facility itself. But either way, I still think the launch tower has another 9 months to go until it's, if not longer. I mean, we're over a year since the first tower was started, and it's still not done. So
you're talking about the Roberts Road, right? Don't scare me and say it's 9 months away.
Launch tower, I think, is going to take 9 months to a year, and that's about how long it takes for a wide bay to be built, right? So they'll probably be finished up about the same time while they're doing all the commissioning tests on the tower. They'll probably be starting their first booster and starship inside of those buildings. So I think that everything is probably going to come together right on time, and I highly doubt that they're going to be shipping stuff. There's lots of rumors floating out there. I try not to address those. I don't really, I don't know. People claim like inside information on that stuff, but to me, just like going off of logistics, what actually makes sense, I can't see that happening.
By the way, you just said something that really opened my eyes. That I was always wondering in the back of my mind, why didn't they build this facility down in Florida with the rest of their employees, their equipment? Yeah, they're building whole cloth over here, and it makes sense. Just what you said just now, that down in Florida, they moved all their operations here to Boca, worked out all the kinks, and now in Florida, they're going to be able to build everything together, have it all finished, and all the kinks worked out, and they're ready to just start churning out boosters, ships, and launches all at the same time without missing a beat. So that speaks volumes to me right there.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Just the pace that they got going on out here.
It really is. I mean, this is crazy exciting how fast they're building all this, building the future one beat at a time.
If you guys saw the Mauricio's Twitter post for this episode, you may have seen what we have here, the mystery box. Mauricio, do you want to describe what you saw on this thing?
So it's clearly for the PES loader, right? The Starlink loader for the PES dispenser.
Yeah, I guess this was over near the ground fabrication building originally, so they moved it over here. And now that it's here, looks like they've started some new stuff, right, inside of it?
Yeah, so it pretty much confirms what everybody's been thinking it's for. You know, it's been called the mystery box for the longest time, for like the past 3-4 weeks since its construction. And I think the structure inside that you see there kind of confirms those suspicions to be true.
Yeah, let's see if I have another angle of it. Oh, it's a little tough to see the railing on here. But yeah, this is basically the same thing that's inside of the Starship, but just beefier. Yeah, I would say that definitely confirmed. Maybe we should stop calling it the mystery box soon. I don't know. I guess that's not for me to decide. I think that mystery is kind of just. Yeah, I want to see it stop being called a mystery box because it's like one of those things that everybody's been arguing about forever. There's always something that people want to argue about. I mean, it started with my favorite one was the concrete and the launch tower. You know, and as soon as any of those things get resolved, we're all struggling to find something next to disagree about, and that was the case with this one. And as I guess it's good timing that we have confirmation on this now, because I guess there's a new mystery structure, which we'll touch on a little bit later. It never ends. There's always some mysteries going on out here.
You know, Max Q came up with a good name for it. Let me see if I can find that. What did he call it? Do you know what he called it?
He had the long name for it.
Yeah, but he had it was abbreviation of it. It was like 4 letters. I can't find it.
It's all right. He'll tell us. While we wait, we want to thank a few more people that have been donating while you've been talking, GB, and explaining all of this wonderful stuff. Domel donated $2. He wrote, "Stud on the southeast wall has 4 connections." There's also a $10 donation from John Dopker. Coffee fund and hopefully the start of this week's 10 train. Who's with me? So y'all got challenged out there, by the way. Sharpie donated $10. More airtime for plane. And Jaxie's Jaxie's a name for your Pez dispenser for the white box. Mystery box is Starlink integration mechanism for the next generation launch vehicle currently being designed by Space Exploration Technologies Corporation to create a low Earth orbit internet satellite constellation. And then
if that spells something out, I'll give you another $1.
Only $1? That was a lot of words.
If that is if we can make an acronym out of that, then we'll have to roll with that, because that took some effort. If it lines out to actually spell something, then I think it's only right that we go with that.
Well, there's a lot of letters in a row that we can make into words that we want.
It's
On
true.
Sim
Space
fitting.
it out. So I think that's kind of all that's going on with the Star Factory. And once again, as I said, pretty much anything can happen over here. So you guys are. I think it'll be interesting to see how it develops. Sorry, I was looking for the full view of it as I was talking. Kind of hard to multitask these days.
Well, and
Um,
Max Q's name was Starlink Satellite Loading Unit. That was it. SSLU, Mauricio.
SSL.
He said unit at the end. SSLU.
Just to really confuse matters, how about we call it the Starlink Hopper?
Why?
Starlink Hopper. I mean, that makes sense. It's actually probably the quickest.
Don't encourage
So-
the GB.
No, yeah, Hopper's just an engineering term for something that loads stuff and spits it out.
I wanted to move over to the my new favorite area, which is also being boring this week. But we do have some kind of interesting things that I've been keeping an eye on outside of the ground fab building. I don't know if anybody else can see this the same what I'm seeing. Let me get an overhead view of it.
And just to add
That's
to the
fine.
fun, Spoilsport calls it the Starlink Pez Dispensary Loader, SPDL.
Spittle.
Spittle.
I need to get a ground image to go with this one.
While you look for that, I did get a PayPal $20 PayPal donation just a little while ago by Sachin Hajaji. He just said it for the more flights, and for those that have been wondering, I'm actually looking. I've already chosen out the camera that we're looking into upgrading. It's a Sony A7R 4, I believe, and this one has way more megapixels. It's 61, and in this case, the megapixels versus the 24. I have a 24 megapixel on my Sony A7 III right now, and I mean the images are pretty good, I would say. But with the 61 megapixel, what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to crop in and zoom in and without losing too much resolution. So that's certainly going to take our photography to the next level if we get to that point. To get to that point to upgrade to that camera.
Does that mean we could actually see what's the back of high bay and wide bay if you fly in the morning and the lights are on?
I mean, yeah, potentially it could be. We won't find out until we try it. But there's certainly more pixels in that particular camera, so we should be able to see more detail, if any.
Stand by while I donate into the chat.
What are you donating into the chat exactly? It's funny. Did you see the results for your tent question? They came back with the winner being tent 3. Most people think tent 3. 63% of the 142 votes indicated that tent 3 will be the one that goes next. Then tent 1 at 31% and tent 2 at 4%. I think it's only Dave and Felikid who opted for tent 2 and tent 1.
Yeah, we should have made it so you can choose multiple of them, but I don't know if that's even an option. Or we'd have to. Yeah, we'll move on from that. Anyways, so I was kind of thinking, and this is probably not the case, but this thing that's been covered up here for weeks almost looks like a shell of some sort. So, given the shape of it, I don't know. It's probably not what I would like it to be, but it almost looks like it could go on the launch mount where the cryo tubes make that left turn, which I guess I should probably show a ground image of. So right at this spot where this left turn occurs, it could potentially go there. I don't think so, but I just want there to be more covers on the launch mount. It's gonna appear at some point. I'm like 100% positive. There's so much steel out here waiting to be formed into something. I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be for the launch mount, but jury's still out on that one. There's a lot of things that are still hidden out here, which hopefully we'll see soon once they uncover them. But yeah, now that we're at the second ring yard, I guess this is the dome yard. we also have labels for these as well too. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those for you guys.
Thank you, thank you. I always feel bad when I don't recognize what each dome is. You know, those guys at the ring watchers, they really know where it all hangs out.
I don't feel bad. I like the teamwork.
I know.
Makes it a little less difficult to prepare for these shows. So, looking at this shot right here,
Make sure you're on the right screen. There you are.
Yeah, we are. So we have Starship Galore. We have Ship 26 forward and center domes. We have Ship 27's forward and aft domes. So yeah, we got lots of preparation happening for future starships, and SpaceX is, as always, not playing around. Yeah. Swap it back over.
Not messing around, no sir.
They are not. Yeah, so I didn't have a chance to go through all of these early this week, so I'm still making sure that I'm not missing things as we go. But on this topic of potential launch mount covers, I have noticed this pretty large panel over here, which I think may actually be several identical ones underneath it. So I think these could potentially be used on the actual legs on the backside of them. In particular, I guess we should maybe just go look at it really quick.
You think they would go on the back of the legs?
Well,
cover the cryopipes or something of that sort?
There's a few options. I mean, it could. They're almost the same, the perfect width to cover this right here. But ideally, there's going to be a pretty large panel going up the backside of this once they finish the framework for the wedge shape. So I don't know. I'm hoping that they're doing some early prep work for that stuff, or potentially those could be the side panels as well. Like those could be the. Oh wow! Now that I think about that.
Yeah, so you have a lot of need for a lot of steel. There's a lot to cover up and protect on the sides as well.
Let's look at this from the ground.
Yeah. The ones you just showed on the ground are too big for the side of the awning, but yeah, definitely need to cover up all that.
Yeah, we should see additional panels go up this side. I imagine that they may not be in a rush to do that stuff for the static fires, but I bet you anything once the static fire campaign's done, they will continue to cover everything else up. They may only be worried about the stuff at the bottom. I'm going to ignore what's else is happening in this image because I'll get distracted and we'll completely switch subjects.
Distracted? Never.
Yeah, I just saw something else that I wanted to address, but we're going to try and be disciplined here today. But yeah, so it looks like this could potentially be something like that. It'll be interesting to see if there's multiple of them stacked up and if they end up going to launch mount. But as of right now, I mean, it does look like a coffin. That could be another thing. Preparing for. But yeah, I don't think there's any other possible explanations for that. So we'll see. Maybe it'll get painted first, but just be on the lookout for that. Let's move to the BFC shed area, actually. Now that we're kind of making our way through the build site, and it's approaching 2 o'clock right now, so we're about 2/3 of the way through the show.
Yep, we haven't even gotten to the ground images.
We have not.
So more parking over there, and you have little man lift
United
parking.
Rentals service area, which is looking pretty busy. Looks like they got a lot of man lifts that are man baskets that are sitting here waiting for. I mean, they could just be being temporarily stored here as well too, but more than likely actually needing maintenance in here, given how often these things are being used. That would not surprise me. Other than that, there's not a ton of stuff going on over in this area. It would be hard to tell actually because of the fact that most of it is shipping containers, so they could move these around each week, and we may not actually notice it unless we're really trying hard to compare them. But yeah, they have an entire fence now around that facility, which Hmm. I don't think it used to stretch all the way over like that. At least I don't remember it doing so when I was there last time. So, moving a little bit further north, we're going to get to our next mystery structure, which is this one right here.
Dun dun dun.
And this is another thing that people have been talking about pretty much all week now that Lab Padre cameras have been or Lab Cam, I believe, has been trained on it for pretty much the whole week. And it's actually pretty clear that SpaceX is trying to get this done as fast as possible. We actually have some ground images that I can show for that, so let's go ahead and do so.
While you pull that up, we have a bunch of donations. May I go ahead and read them off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Please,
So
please.
we've got a $5 Australian dollar donation from Pete 2.0. He says for the Sony Kitty. From Jim Cavett, we got a $5 donation, Sony Kitty. Yazada, $10 donation, Mauricio's Camera Fund. Our very own Golden Boy, $9.99, more megapixels. And the lovely Shenbot, Shenandoah Smith, gave us $19.99. Says thank you. You guys are the best.
And one more shout out to Tom B for that $500 donation. Wow, that was great. And by the way, I was really confused with the Sony Kitty because I kept reading that as Sunny Kitty. And I was like, wait, he's a dog. What is this?
They're talking about the new camera.
I know.
Okay. It's a good thing I'm here for you.
I know. I'll learn to read one of these days. Math and science got it. Reading, working on it.
This is the ground shot that we were looking at for the same structure that I just showed in the air. And you guys can see that they've already started adding paneling on the side. And they work on this thing 24/7 lately. So they're definitely in a rush to get it done quickly. So I think that's leading a lot of people to think it has something to do with payload integration or something like that. And I think there is that's a good possibility for that. And we also see right outside of here, there is a part of a gantry crane that was waiting to be installed outside, which I think may have been lifted in place already at this point. And the funny thing about that actually is, I hope these guys are aware of it. So looking at it from that aerial view, you can see the same gantry crane right here. But the weird part about that is, I'm pretty sure that's a new one. They actually have another one right here, which I don't know if they're aware of that. It's been here for a super long time, and it's so long that, the trees have started to grow around it. So I'm sure that it doesn't get viewed a lot. It's pretty much in the back area over here. But yeah, it's one of those things. I do supply chain for my job daily, so I constantly am purchasing what I would be considered capital equipment purchases. And there's often times where you purchase things for facilities and then find out later that, oh, wow, I already have one of those at another one. I could have just shipped there instead of buying a whole new one. So I'm hoping that's not one of those situations, because for me, those are nightmare situations. But with that being said, that's what I'm seeing here. we got one gantry crane now installed inside of this building. It's really tall, but it's not all that large. I think that it's a good possibility. I mean, what do you guys think so far?
What's
As far
the
as
question?
what it could be stored here.
It's definitely a building. It can definitely store things.
Potentially Starlink.
Yeah. No, Starlinks is a good guess. And I like what you said that, this is obviously where all their effort is focused. Their manpower is focused here. They got parts laying to come in. So whatever it is, this is their priority right now for sure.
Mauricio, you have any thoughts on what it might be?
I have no clue, but yeah, I've heard it from different Patreon members and from the team here that it's probably related to Starlinks. So it could be a storage room or a storage, just storage place for Starlinks, I guess.
Yeah,
or a clean room.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I think there's a few features that make this structure much different than anything else that's on site. Number one, relatively tall compared to everything else out here. But beyond that, we've mentioned on previous episodes that, and you can kind of see it here, there is a concrete base already for this building, and then they put about, I'm going to say 3 or 4 feet of gravel on top of that, and then built another concrete another concrete floor on that. So it's what I call a concrete gravel sandwich. And in my opinion, the only reason that you need that is for like isolating this structure to some degree from vibration. So you're just adding layers of, it's almost like a floating structure in a way. It's floating on gravel instead of, that's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, you guys can see that 3 feet of gravel in between the 2 concrete layers. So that's pretty rare. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I can't really think of a good reason to do that other than to isolate vibrations. And this is just about as far away from other construction activity on site that you can get as far as the placement of this facility. So if you did want to have some structure that had the least amount of vibrations possible, this would be the best area in the entire site to do that. And the other interesting thing that looks like is going on here is they may actually be about to encase that middle area. So what are those ice cream sandwiches called? Klondike bars?
What would you do for her?
Klondike
ones?
bar.
It's a Klondike bar, I think. Yeah.
No,
Maybe like
no.
a Klondike bar with concrete and gravel. Looking at that from the ground, actually, you can see that they were in the process of. I muted myself. My bad.
No, we hear you.
Well, I got it quickly. So they're actually in the process of building some sort of retaining wall around it, and I don't know if this is actually going to contact this structure, but it looks like this wall may actually not just be for a wall, but a floor. So back to that aerial, you can see the space in between it. And unfortunately, I don't have another angle of this right now to kind of show it, but yeah, this is very, very interesting structure in comparison to everything else that's around here as far as its purpose. But I do think it could be possible that it's either used for storing Starlinks or integrating them into Mystery Box number 1 and transporting it to the build site.
You know what?
Or even just storing Starlinks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing anything related to air conditioning or power going into this.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention that, there are no utilities back here in this area. I would think that you would want a good place to just store Starlinks, right?
Yeah. You could store them, you could haul them, you might even be able to load them. And that was my thought, was the ice cream sandwich concrete gravel might also be more for supporting the weight of 70 odd tons of Starlinks if they load them in there. But I don't know. Just pure speculation there. Not a civil engineer. Speaking of, if you are a civil engineer and you'd like to join our team, give us a call.
Yeah, we got it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I mean, it's very tall, as you can see, so I can imagine there being several like racks mounted to the walls potentially, where they're able to like lift the Starlinks onto the racks and just store them temporarily as they're being ready to be integrated into the Starship. But they clearly want this done very quick. That's all I know.
The lovely Starship Boca Chica has put in her guess in the hat, and she says heavy equipment tool shed. So Maria's here.
Hi, Maria. Thank you for joining us. Always good to see you in the chat. Yeah, I mean,
Maria.
you guys can see from the aerial view that, I mean, it's big enough for a few of these man baskets to fit in. So, yeah, you could park some pretty heavy equipment in there. I'm not. I'm just wondering, like, what single object would go in there if that was the case. This is a tough one. This is one of those wait and see things. I think, or else we'll debate it all day. With that being said, I think it's almost time for us to move over to the launch site.
Yes, sir.
So why don't we go ahead and do that? Before we do, if you guys haven't already, please make sure you hit that like button if you guys are enjoying the stream today. Definitely appreciate having you guys here. There's a little over 500 of you, so it's really awesome maintaining that audience the entire time. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the shows and continue to come back every week. And as we mentioned at the beginning, this is our 25th episode. So wow, I mean, time's flying. That's almost about half a year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm glad you guys continue to come back every week. And I'm getting even more excited now that we're nearing the time where we should expect to start seeing launch activities occur. I think we're gonna have some pretty awesome things happening here in the near future.
And
I do want to say sorry, GPJ, real quick here. I did get a $100 donation from No Unit. He just sent a $100 donation via PayPal. So just wanted to give a shout out for that, and hopefully by the next few streams, we're about 30% into the covering the cost of the camera. Obviously, I'll cover some of the costs as well, and just pretty excited about how the community is pitching in for this. And there's definitely won't be disappointed with the quality of this new camera. And thank you very much. That's it.
Mauricio, we're
I'll
not
tell you what,
disappointed
I
with the
can't
quality
wait.
now. It'll only get better.
Only gets better.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And the best part is that all of your lenses, you won't even have to replace lenses, right? It's just the camera body should integrate with the.
Yeah, that is correct.
Lenses,
so
right?
Yeah, that is correct. So the lenses, we already, we invested in that from the beginning. Again, by the support from the Patreons and just support in general. And then the only thing we're replacing right now is the camera body. So with this new camera body, it is compatible with all the other lenses. So we're set to go with that.
Awesome.
Oh, that's exciting. I hope. I'm not going to say it.
Come on, now you gotta say it.
Well, I hope SpaceX isn't sitting in here like, oh, contact FAA. We got to raise that TFR again.
Oh no, we don't want that.
So I did want to ask one question of the audience in recognition of our 25th episode. How many folks have been with us for all 25 episodes? So if you have, just type a 25 in chat. I want to see. I know I've watched all of them, even the ones I couldn't commentate on. And thanks, Mauricio and Zach and Indian Star, for having me along for as many as I've gotten to come.
Well, we're still on the fence about you, but I think you've won us over.
Oh, wow.
I'm just teasing you.
I'll try to earn it.
All you need to do is make a donation and we'll be square.
Done.
That's bribery. Extortion, even?
It's called enhancing the opportunity.
I'm going to remember that for the future.
Yeah.
So here's a question that's come up over and over again. What is that odd little dip in the concrete wall there?
Yeah, let's discuss that. So we have, and I believe this has been filled in with concrete at this point. I think I saw them pouring that yesterday. We have this berm which was covered up and looking really nice now. Man, I love that. Especially once they get these last few portions done. The suborbital farm is going to look super clean. There'll be no longer any excuse to have all this dirt over here. So they've poured this part, and it looks like a basically change of slope. And right here, it's clearly more a lot steeper. So I think what they're possibly doing is trying to allow the exhaust from the engines to get angled up further so that it's not contacting the top of these tanks. Because we actually have not seen them do a full static fire anywhere near this close to the tank farm yet. So usually it's over here, and these, I think these are water tanks, are actually further away from the berm, so you're not really worried about clipping the top of those. Versus these, you are a little bit more worried about it with how close they are to the edge of the berm. Honestly, in some ways, that's kind of crazy how close it is, but yeah, at least they're doing something to mitigate that issue by ramping it up and above. So I think that might be the entire purpose of this right here.
Yep, that was my thought as well. Just ramp those flames higher than the tanks and keep everything safe and not toasty.
And I think it'll be really cool to see slow-mo if you can see that effect happening when we get that first 6-engine static fire on this test stand A.
Oh, do you think they're going to do a
It's been neglected for a
6-engine?
long time.
Have they done a 6-engine static fire before?
Yes.
And they're
So we
gonna
had a
do it
6-engine
again.
static fire on this test stand, but not the other one. So yeah, on this new generation of vehicles, we haven't had a 6-engine, and we also haven't had one, as I mentioned, that close to the tank farm yet. So with that being said, they are upgrading test stand B. It's not finished yet, but you guys can see that they've added in the stage separation clamps, and also starting the structure for the actual QD, or I don't know if we want to call it a QD because that took forever last time. I think Chief was out there watching it, and Starship Gazer was watching them disconnect it. Man, it took forever. Let's call it a slow disconnect SD being installed onto test stand B. So yeah, they're definitely in the process of converting this. So we'll be able to have 2 starships at a time again. Man, those are the good days. SN9 and 10, I believe.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't believe it myself that, they had one starship out there and then they just rolled out another and like, oh yeah, if this one blows up, the other one will be fine. And sure enough, it was.
That was one of the gutsiest moves I think I've ever seen.
It felt like somebody at SpaceX was just mad at the FAA that day. They were like, fine, we'll roll out 2 of them.
The thing about it was everybody knew, well, at least I felt like I knew that SN9 wasn't going to land. Well, hold on. Maybe I take that back because after SN8, I think we all thought that the next one's definitely going to land. But I think after SN9, we all were pretty much under the assumption, at least I was, that we're not going to get a successful landing until 15. With that being said, I think that SpaceX expected SN9 to fail. I think they expected all 4 of them to fail. But keeping that other vehicle on the pad while that was happening was pretty wild.
Especially thinking that it might fail. I had high hopes for 9 after seeing 8. I mean, 8 almost did it. It was just a hair's breadth away. And 9, it tried, it failed. It could have made it, but it didn't.
10 landed and then blew 8 seconds later.
Yeah, I mean, 10 darn near nailed it. That would have been great.
And then there's the one we don't talk about. The ship that shall not be named.
Nobody saw that. It never happened.
Oh man, that's my favorite one, honestly. I don't know why. It's just the mystery behind it, I guess.
You love yourself a good mystery. Head CSI investigator.
Yeah. So we also have over here, as you guys know, Ship 24, before it was transported back to the production site. So yeah, I mean, this is really great news now that we know that we should be having engines installed in that soon. Almost was hoping that they would do it at the launch site, but maybe that's something that they don't want to do anymore.
Yeah, they might want to do it in a more clean room environment. In fact, I had to refactor my tracking chart to include rolling back to the site and then rolling back to the launch to accommodate SpaceX and their, always changing plans.
Yeah, I mean the difference between in the past and now is that once they have all of that engine paneling installed, they may not want to be doing that kind of work out here because to take it all off again is a lot more work than it was in the past to just swap out an engine. So engine swap time I feel like is increasing, not decreasing, which isn't a bad thing. It's just that's what it takes when you put those final covers on there. And ideally, they shouldn't be swapping out engines, period. So,
And GPJ, to
hopefully.
answer your question, there are 24 people that have been here since the beginning in our chat that answered your question.
Thank you, thank you. I'm honored for each of y'all that join us each week. It's really been a pleasure.
Especially on a Saturday. We know that you guys got stuff to do. Sun's out.
Guns out.
I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here tanning in my room right now. I got the windows wide open, shirt off. I'm just sun's coming through. I'm tanning. Hopefully, you guys get out and do some of that after this as well.
Mind you, he has
I-
windows that take up the entire wall, so he actually is tanning, probably.
And I usually tan in the shade, so this is rare.
So do I.
Yeah, it's that time of year, guys. So thank you guys for being with us this time of day for sure. With that being said, I don't know if there's a whole lot more happening at the suborbital area,
There
other
is a
than I guess I could
question.
kind of consider the suborbital ish. What was that?
There's a question if you're up for it, and a bunch of
Yeah.
donations. The question, real fast, Craneman is asking, why is the suborbital farm slower to fill a ship compared to the orbital tank farm?
Ooh, great question. Can I take this one?
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead. So the suborbital tank farm has some motors that pump in, but if you look at the orbital tank farm, it has much larger and many more motors pumping from the storage tanks to the ship.
Yeah. Now that you say that,
It's all about the horsepower.
I don't even know where the motors, where the pumps are here. I think
There's
a valve set right here. Actually, this right here is
we need a better
looks like a
camera.
basket strainer right there, like a filtration system. Right there could be pumps over in this area. I don't really know where they are, truthfully. I've never even considered that. But yeah, they're, I mean, obviously since we can't find them, significantly smaller, so that's makes sense that that's going to take them a lot longer to pump it.
Yeah, and look, the suborbital tank farm is not constrained necessarily by the necessities of an orbital launch where you need to be able to recycle quickly.
It's really going to bother me. I'm going to have to go find where those pumps are later.
Well done,
I'm
Craneman.
sure
You got him on
that.
an investigation.
Yeah, never considered that.
So, somebody probably Procky has a labeled diagram of the suborbital farm that'll point them out for you.
That'll be, then Mauricio has it. RGB, it'll be on his YouTube, most likely.
Yeah, I'm about to go fly back through some old
Not
footage to see if
now.
I can find them.
Before you do
We'll
that, can
send
I hit the
Max Q on it.
donations? Max Q is actually
Yeah, go
gone for
ahead.
the rest of the evening.
Okay.
$20 donation from John Dopker. Sonny is a good boy and needs his number nums. Shard Baby donated twice, 25 pounds each, first time, 25 episodes. Thank you all for your fabulous coverage and commentary on Starbase week by week. You all rock. Congratulations, Thomas, Golden Boy, Indian Star, and Grandpa Joe, and of course, RGV himself. And then his second 25-pound donation says, Mauricio, thank you for everything and getting us all the way here. Here's some more for the camera. Thank you so much. Then John Wade with a $19.99 donation. And that's it so far. Thank you guys so much. Shard Baby, double donation. You rock. Thanks, kid.
Yeah, saying that phrase makes me think of Felix, and shout out to Felix for letting me steal his studio this week. I was actually worried that maybe he would not like that. I mean, he gave it to me, and I was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Hey, man, can I use your background?" And it took him about 3 weeks. He just sent it to me randomly, and I was like, "Oh wow, didn't think you were gonna send it to me." And I was like, "Are you sure you're cool with that?" And he didn't even ask any questions. So I was like, "Well, anything can really happen, Felix. Hopefully, you're not gonna be upset by this." And luckily, he finally messaged me back this morning and thought it was funny. So
Yay.
crisis averted.
Next time you're in high bay, maybe you can spot those pumps when you look out the window.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna. I'm already pulling up on the side older images, but yeah, we have the orbital tank farm now that we move over from suborbital, and there's not a whole lot of new stuff over here now that they're really getting close to finalizing everything. There is something interesting on the backside, which I'll mention in a little bit, but first, we do have this red line that goes all the way around, basically what I guess you would call the sensitive areas. So that includes down here. So anywhere where you might have methane gas collecting and or well, I guess it's dangerous if you have clouds of nitrogen as well too, and too much oxygen is probably bad as well. So yeah, this is just overall a danger area, and so they've started to mark that off, and we've kind of seen from the ground. And maybe I'll just go ahead and show that ground image if I can find it quickly enough.
Now I would suddenly want to hear "Fly Me to the Danger Zone" playing.
Me too. From Top Gun.
Yeah.
It's totally in my head. It's literal. I was going to start singing, but I was like, nah, better not.
I just realized I haven't seen the new Top Gun yet. So
It was really good. You should definitely watch it.
I haven't
Too
seen
busy
Not
hanging
it.
made
out
by
with you
Top
guys
Gun.
here. Maybe I will. We'll see. But I'm not finding that ground shot right now. But that is fine.
Which one
So
are you looking
basically,
for?
it's the one that shows the sign that's in front, the letting everybody know that it's a danger zone.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. So we have. Go ahead.
Sorry, while we're here, Zach, have there been? They were doing a lot of construction on the water tank a few weeks back. Has that concluded, or are they still chomping away at it?
They are definitely still working on that on the backside over here.
Oh, look at that. What do you think they're doing there?
Well, there's a lot going on. I don't know about that, but I do know one thing. I think it's official that we should not expect anything out of these methods. I mean, we already weren't expecting it, but they removed the manifold where all of the pipes that connect the two methane tanks. They actually stripped all that stuff out, and that manifold is now sitting down here.
Oh,
So
wow.
and all of that pipe work. So they've started to strip out everything that was related to that methane, those two methane tanks. That being said, this would be wild, but if they brought Bucky back to the launch complex and removed these tanks, but given that they've installed the lighting on them, I just don't see that happening. So I think Procky may need to relabel these as light posts. Since it's no longer like looking anything, there's definitely not going to be any use out of these, in my opinion. They've removed everything that makes it functional. So yeah, goodbye methane tanks. It's officially gone. I would say.
So I dropped that sign in the chat, but I was curious, what would removing those tanks do? Like, what would be the benefit of that, other than lots of work?
Well, so if you wanted to turn this one into a liquid nitrogen tank and theoretically turn this one into a LOX tank, you would have to spin them around because I'm not sure about these ones because they covered them up quickly. I think they're actually pointed this direction. So I would imagine that you would want the liquid nitrogen tank might be fine if it's pointed in this direction, but this one would be a little bit difficult because I'm pretty sure it's pointed this direction, and you'd probably want to spin it this direction so that it's interfacing with this tank quickly instead of having to travel all the way down this way. So if I was them, I would lift it off and spin it around in order to make it easier to install that, because installing all that stuff in the middle of here is going to be really difficult versus doing it on the outside if they ever wanted to convert it. So, and again, I don't see that happening. That's a major undertaking. They do have a crane for it, but yeah, I don't know. As far as the scaffolding goes, the biggest change I've noticed is it looks like they painted the scaffolding. Like, I don't like, why are they painting scaffolding? Yeah, this is weird. Still no answer on that.
Extra paint?
Yeah, a little paint spilled, so they're like, you know what? I'm cleaning this up.
Well, I feel like if we look at it from the ground, we may see that maybe the color is different now. Like the rust is gone. Here, I'll switch to that ground image. Hey, there's a lot less rust, I guess. I can't tell if that's on the tank itself. It looks like it is. Yeah, so it could just be that they're painting it, but I feel like you would use man baskets if you were just painting it. There's definitely something else going on with it, and it still hasn't been obvious yet. We never see anybody actually working on it. It's just there. Yeah, not a lot to say on that one, guys. Unfortunately.
So I
So let's go
got
ahead.
another one for you. John Dobker donated $5, and he says he heard probably from an unreliable source that the 8 big tanks are obsolete, and that's why they have the horizontal tanks. He's asking, how true is that? Do
Well,
you
it's
know?
never good when you start a question off with "This is from an unreliable source." But um, I'm sorry, that caught me off guard immediately. I'm like, But wait, can you repeat the question one more time?
Of course, he's asking, the 8 big tanks, are they obsolete? And that's why they have the horizontal tanks.
Just these ones. They just can't be used, so that's why they replaced them with the horizontal ones in order to satisfy the code that was required for those. Um,
And then you were also
that
looking for that sign, right?
yes,
It's in the chat for you.
perfect.
So they buried that tank, that little one in the center that's going the horizontal direction as the other ones are going up and down, if you will.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. We'll show that here in just a moment. Yeah, this is the sign that's outside of. You can actually see the cryo tubes in the back. This is where the methane trucks offload at. So basically, letting them know that they got to have two most important things. Well, all of them are important, but FR clothing and 4 gas monitors, so that you can sense methane leaks before anything bad happens, I guess. So basically, this is the sign that goes around that basically lets people know that once you cross over that red line that I showed before, that you need to have that equipment on.
And that's because the methane has no smell, right? Not like the gas company or the factories I heard, like Chevron and stuff like that. When they're doing their stuff, their gas has smell. So when you drive by them on the freeways out here, you're like, wow, what is that smell? And it's the gas.
Yeah, exactly. I always apologize to everybody who's in the car. But yes, the that happens in Denver all the time. If any of you guys have been in Denver in Highway 270, but yes, I think that they have 4 gas monitors mounted inside on various locations in here, and probably very, very loud alarms as well too, in case that is ever detected. But yeah, I don't know if they. Okay, let me take that back. I think it's highly unlikely that it has a smell because of the fact that their goal is to purify methane as much as possible. So whatever impurities that they put inside of it to give it a smell probably don't exist here.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I doubt that. I mean, for safety purposes, it would make sense. But yeah, here you're probably really, really reliant on the 4 gas monitors. And so that's why they have this area marked off, and it's basically visible from space. So there's no excuse if you cross that.
Hey,
Without
GB, I had a question, I guess,
Yeah.
for either you or Grandpa Joe or Indian Star. Is there a way, I know you say you're working on a video to explain the inner workings of the orbital tank farm there, but is there a way to simplify it, like within like 2 minutes, to explain to everybody what's in each tank and as far as how everything works? Let's say for an initial, like a static fire or on the launch mount, or for launch, an actual launch with a full stack.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Would that
Well, I
Well,
mean,
Lolo
at
Matica
yeah, Lolo-Matic has some great explanations,
and
but
too legit to
just
quit?
oh yeah, there's an animated one with like you can see the liquid in it too now. I haven't seen it, but I've seen clips of it. But yeah, basically there's oxygen, nitrogen, and methane in the orbital launch tank farm, and the methane's off to the left in those tanks. And from there, the methane is pumped through those 2 kettle boilers. Nitrogen is poured over them to super chill them. Those pumps pump it from down there up into the ship. And the same happens on the other side with the oxygen. Oxygen pours through those kettle boilers and goes out through those pumps, or vice versa, through the pumps through the kettle boilers. and then goes up to the ship. There are some other gases that live on top of the bunker just south of there that pump other things, such as helium for spin start. And yeah, that's about it. You take the commodities in those horizontal and vertical tanks, super chill them, pump them into Starship, and spin her up and let her rip.
I just realized a major problem with. So if I do want to animate and explain like how this works, but explaining this tank farm is going to require, in my opinion, an explanation on why there's such a difference in the setup on each side. I mean, having what looks like they're about to have 4 pumps and 2 heat exchangers versus 2 pumps and 4 heat exchangers sounds like it's going to require some math to explain that one. I just realized like I still don't do math when I'm not at work, so I may have to skip over that part of that explanation and just acknowledge that there's a weird offset going as far as their pumping versus cooling capabilities on each side.
Do you think it's because of the density?
The methane is at a higher temperature naturally, right? So that's the one that they're dropping the temperature of mostly, right? Like you're doing it with both, but
the thing you have to be
temperature change. I think.
The thing you have to be careful with methane, though, is that methane will freeze into methane ice above the temperature of liquid nitrogen. So if you super chill methane too much, you'll have a problem where it will actually freeze into ice. Oxygen, you can go a little bit lower, and it's a little bit safer, so you can chill that further. And the whole point of super chilling is it densifies the liquid, so you can pump more liquid and more propellant and get more thrust out of the same volume. So it's more efficient. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I'm assuming that you're not dropping the temperature of the methane quite as far as you are your liquid oxygen, which is why they have more cooling capacity on the side. But less pump capacity. Well, not less pump capacity. These are significantly larger than the other ones. So
yeah, I was noticing that.
I'm just seeing a bunch of numbers fly through my head, and I'm like, makes me want to throw up. So let's move on from that.
Well, speaking of numbers, real fast, we've got a $100 donation from Gravelden, donating $100 saying fun for plane use. Thank you so much for your $100 donation. And then I have a couple of questions for you for these tanks before you move away.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First one is from Jeff Leclerc. He says, hey, that's Formula One. Sorry. Can the methane tanks that don't meet code be used for other commodities?
Like Zach was saying, they could be, but it would take quite a bit of reworking. So it may not be the most efficient thing to do. SpaceX may decide to do it. And and real quick, huge thanks to the guy who donated $100. That's a lot, and we really appreciate it, man. Everybody contributing, huge thanks.
And then along the same lines, there's a question from Michael Maxey. He's asking, what's the chance that Starbase converts the unused GSE tanks to H2O to support the launch deluge system?
0.
And then for you, GPJ, at what temperature would methane become a superfluid? That's from John Dopker.
Ooh, memory, which is wrong, is I think negative 190, but let me double check and verify.
Yeah, and for the record, a lot of people have asked me in the past, like, why do you keep saying that you don't do math outside of work? Like, I do a lot of math at work. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I do a ton of math all the time. And the problem is that when you're explaining things like this, if you miss one factor out of that equation, then it completely changes your answer. And there's always somebody who knows that factor needs to be included. So, for me, it's easier to not go down that route when it comes to doing those calculations, because it takes, number one, a long time, and more often than not, you typically forget something, which is why it's good to have an entire team when you're doing stuff like this, and also, truthfully, to be trained in just cryogenics alone. So yeah, that's why.
And the answer was 183, not 190. So negative 183 degrees Celsius.
For methane?
Yeah, that's when it becomes.
A superfluid.
What
No, that's when it
about
becomes solid. I'm sorry,
what about liquid
superfluid.
oxygen?
Are you gonna make me look it up?
Yep, we are. And while you're doing that, I'm going to move us over to some orbital launch mount angles.
Nice.
218, negative 218,
218 versus
183.
okay. Yeah, so you're definitely dropping the temperature of the liquid oxygen a lot more.
I don't think SpaceX fully drops it down to that level. They drop it down to, if memory serves, 193 to 195.
Yeah, that's still well, incredibly
Yeah.
low for sure.
It's chilly, a little chilly. But yeah, they do that even with their Falcon 9s, which they launch with kerosene and liquid oxygen.
You know,
And I'll also mention they use that propellant to chill the engines as well. And super chilled propellant is much better at chilling the engines.
I just realized that just noticed this crane over here. I wonder if it's actually done anything since it's been here, but kind of been expecting something to get mounted on this big pad right here. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens. But uh, the positioning of this crane is funny if that's the case. I would expect them to actually bring the piece of equipment in first and then bring the crane in second. But yeah, it looks like they're definitely have a little bit more work about to happen over here. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. But additionally, there's some scaffolding that's been set up on this side, which means basically that they're about to start insulating this as well, just like they have with this tank over here and all those other cryo lines. So yeah, that's good signs that we're getting really close to finalization of the tank farm. I'm sure SpaceX and Elon are equally happy about that, as it clearly seems like it was very difficult to um, put this together. That's easily the hardest part of the whole thing, I think. But yeah, moving on, we do have the cryotube cover for the launch mount has been moved back to the launch site, and it doesn't really look any different. It's hard to tell from this angle, but yeah, I'm surprised that they still haven't installed it yet, but it's definitely ready to go. We also have the covers that were installed onto the legs, which I mentioned a few times. We have some updated images from Mauricio. Show those from the ground, which is great. Should have found those first, but it's okay. Not too far away. All right. What do you guys think?
It's ugly, but they can clean it up.
So we were waiting to see. I mean, we knew that they had the two pieces installed on the bottom and the middle, but now it seems that they've capped it off, which was a little different than I expected. I didn't think it was gonna be that short. I mean, that's like about as small as a cap as you can put on it without making it flat, almost. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Mhm.
I was almost expecting it to end up all the way up here, at least, but
It looks like it went a little higher too, and then they snipped it off or something, changed it out.
I think that maybe there was something there that they initially before they shaved it off. I'm not
Oh,
100% sure though.
maybe a light,
It could
like a
just be where
blindness.
part of that shaved off area, like grinded down.
Hmm.
And you can see on this side that they're um, still welding on this one. It looks like they're. I think these are completely welded now. They're fully attached, and I don't know if they've grinded them down yet, but they clearly haven't painted them. So we'll see that as well too. But yeah, these are getting close to being finalized, and like I said, we should see them going up these legs as well too soon. Hopefully. I mean,
Ladder.
they have, yeah, it's the same support these are basically the same as what's up here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
So that one you showed us earlier, you think that goes up the leg too? You were saying, right? That long brown
Yeah, I
piece
need
we
to
saw?
measure it out, but I believe it could um, cover the front side of this one right here. But they have a lot of work to do when it comes to adding additional paneling on here, if that is what's going to happen. What? New cameras?
Is that a camera?
Pretty sure that's a camera.
Wow.
What?
Oh,
Why would you
wow.
need a camera there?
That's on the
Keep your eye on
inside.
people.
Oh,
Oh my God. That is the most.
That is one baller camera.
This is the camera view. Okay, so I think it was. Oh man, I can't remember if it was Seabass Productions or it was both of them. No, they had the rocket from the bottom. I just used it in this episode, but there was also a ton of other renders that I used, so I can't remember which one. But that's the same camera view, basically. Whew, wow, looking up at the engines from between the legs, that is going to be. And there may be another one right here too.
Could there be one on each one?
No, there may be 3 of them. Let's see.
Are they disposable cameras?
Right?
Kodak.
Let me see if I can get that other
I
side.
wouldn't spend too much. Definitely would not spend our Sony fun on this part.
No, I don't see one on. I don't see one on this side. Either way, that is really cool. I don't know how I didn't notice that before. I think that is a new addition for sure. Where'd they go? Yeah, that has got to be the best view of all time. Okay, so we started making a list, I think, of the top 10 views if NASA/SpaceX allows us to choose which views we want to see during the launch. We got 10 to choose from. That is number 1 on the list, hands down.
Mhm.
Are you saying that NASA will do that? Will allow us to select?
Well,
Hopefully.
okay, so, and I could be wrong about this. I think that, Grandpa Joe, you would know this a lot better than I do. I think they're able to request a certain amount of views or something like that for their,
Yeah, they have a stipulation on 22 or 24 camera views that NASA gets to dictate just different aspects they want to review. So they've asked SpaceX to install them, and I've heard that, I've seen that. Lord knows it's been 6 months, so I can't remember where. So sorry for the lack of sources, but
a lot of these they're going to be using either way, right? But I think they also get to request which ones they want access to. Could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's the might be correct on that. And like I said, if that's the case, I really hope that we get some footage from that. Man, that is going to be amazing. We're going to have to write a petition to Elon or something.
Saying what? We want access?
Yeah, we want that view. Like, please, man. If they don't, if they don't show that to us, I'll be very, very surprised. Let's just say that. So let's go back up to that aerial view really quick. So we know also that the chopsticks have been getting some attention lately with all this scaffolding that's still up there. No idea what they're doing. They moved the pins that shift the booster on the rail. They've moved those back into place. They were extended all the way out, but now they're retracted again. And they haven't done anything with the scaffolding, but I guess they did test the chopsticks last night, so maybe we're getting closer to actually seeing them lift a booster for the first time. And again, if you guys weren't here at the beginning of the show, if Booster 7 does not roll out with these alignment pins on it on the transport stand, then I would not expect the chopsticks to lift it. They will not do it without that. So hopefully when it comes back out, it does have those. They removed it from what? Where'd it go? I'm looking for Booster 4. I'm like, what happened to it?
it's gone.
So they did have them installed on the Booster 4 transport stand, and they were removed. And as far as I know, they mainly have 1 or 2 sets of them right now. So they're sitting outside of the Mega Bay currently. So hopefully they end up installing those. But yeah, that is definitely the limiting factor on whether or not we can see some chopsticks lifting the booster for the first time, which I still got my fingers crossed on that.
So, and just a question as to why, or an answer as to why the chopsticks are so important for the booster. When the booster lands, it has some residual amount of methane in it, and it's important that it be perfectly automated with no human intervention for it to catch the booster and place it back on the launch table so that they can finish recycling and loading it up or emptying it out for the next launch. And without that automation, without the humans out of the picture, you'd have to wait for it to evaporate all the gas off, which might take a little while. And you don't want to be down for 2 days while you wait for all that to evaporate out and everything to return to nominal. So there you go. Catch it, automate the placement, you're good to go.
Normal.
Yeah, the other thing about that is that SpaceX trusts their crane operators. So if Marvin was to come and lift the booster on the back on the launch mount, obviously we know that they'll have people all over the place guiding it into place. But when they use the chopsticks on vehicles, they clear the entire pad. So you're not even allowed to be on the side of the highway watching. They clear the entire pad. So they don't trust the chopsticks. Okay, I'll say that they don't. I don't know if it's just procedural as far as like, okay, well, we plan on not having to use these or not having humans around. We use them, so we might as well practice like we play type thing, or if it's just legitimately like this is a test. This is a prototype. You know what I mean? So you're not gonna have anybody anywhere near this as it's in use because it's a prototype and it could fail theoretically at any time. You don't know that. So you just don't put anybody anywhere near it. And with that being said, in order to do that, you have to be able to lift the booster off of the transport stand without humans being there. So I imagine that with those stabilization pins, there may be a way to potentially connect it to the tower so that they're able to remotely release it and also remotely engage it. But it's really going to take that kind of automation, in my opinion, in order to make that happen. So I don't know. We'll see here soon. I think that we're hopefully 2 weeks away, at least for the first time, them using the chopsticks for a booster.
I'm actually curious why the first stack, which was sometime last year, they didn't clear out the pad. They had a lot of personnel there. And then for the second one, they're a lot more cautious. I don't know if there was something was brought up to their attention or it was just common sense to clear out the whole area. Because the first time I remember that there was people on the side of the road. I could see them from the airplane.
In the full stack?
Yeah, for the full stack. For the first one.
Oh, with the crane?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was with the crane.
That's what I mean. So they're okay with that because you wouldn't expect a crane to fail. You know what I mean? So having people on site or, even spectators, outside of the site is okay when you're using a crane, but it's not when you're using this because you never know what can happen. So they just don't let anybody anywhere near it. On top of that, it's also a good idea to shut the road down when they're doing that because it's mighty tempting for people who are irresponsible to try and get closer to it. So in order to just remove that risk from the equation altogether, they just shut down the whole highway when they do those operations, which is really smart because some people's kids, man, So with that being said, there's one last random thing out here, which I'm hoping somebody knows what this is off looking at it, but I don't know. To me, it looks like almost like a septic tank. They've got this dugout over here, and it's kind of far from the tower, though. But they cut this plate out, put it from the concrete, and removed it. And it almost looks like they plan on putting it back in here because they've kept the pieces of it, and they didn't just actually break it out; they cut it out. So it seems like something they may want access to in the future. Yeah, I wish I could read that label on the side. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Mauricio has a different angle of it.
Maybe it's for methane collection, one way or the other.
Sanitation.
We need a shot of that at some point. I wonder if Chief's in here or something in the audience. If so, whoever makes it back out there first, if you can get a shot of the words on the side of that, that would be awesome.
Do you understand the words on the side of the tank?
So we got about 15 minutes left. I want to make sure that we
Yes, sir.
knock out any remaining questions that are here.
We have lots
and
of
then I want to
questions.
swap over to some ground images as well too, because those
Yeah.
are always fun.
Indian Star, why don't you ask a few questions?
GPJ, that's a great idea. Michael Maxey has a question. He asks, do we know if Zeus and Apollo can climb stairs to do vapor checks of launch table when booster returns or after a static fire? So
Yes, Boston Dynamics are the dogs are capable of climbing stairs. No, I don't think they would. They probably have stationary ones already mounted up there.
Well, they use Apollo now, or Zeus, excuse me, to go check stuff out.
Yeah. Whenever they want to walk up without damaging anything, they'll send a Zeus.
It's true.
It's
And then-
possible, but I don't think they've done it yet.
Fair enough. Well, I don't think we've had any methane pumping back there, have we?
They've had a small amount of igniter test on the launch table. I don't believe they've used methane in the cryogenic test, but they have had a lot of methane delivered. And there are methane pipes running, and there are valves. So it's possible, though it hasn't been confirmed.
Okay. And then we also received a €2 donation from Martin Orman, and he says thanks. And then another question for you guys. John Dopker's asking, I know that to chill something is actually to remove the heat. He's asking, how exactly do they do that? Is it comparable to how refrigerators and freezers work?
It is very comparable. So what they do is they use what's called a kettle reboiler. We affectionately call them hippos because they kind of look like a hippo. But yes, so I have created a graphic that explains it somewhere on my Twitter. But yeah, thank you. They pump the liquid methane and liquid oxygen through on one side, and then separated, they pour in liquid nitrogen, and the liquid nitrogen evaporates. So liquid nitrogen comes in at around negative 173, and as it evaporates, it takes heat away, much like a refrigerator, and super chills the methane and oxygen to the appropriate temperatures. So, yeah, it works same in principle, but at much colder temperatures and using different mediums. Hope that helps.
Answer. Felikid asks, is that a new ground vent line at the base of the berm? Did you see the base of the berm?
I'll let Golden Boy answer that one. I did not see it.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had muted myself. I think he's talking about this one.
I believe so. If it's new, then yes.
Yeah, so there's a few things here. Number one, I think we should see some flex hoses or temporary cryo lines. Excuse me. Sorry, got some stuck in my throat there. So some temporary cryo lines set up going to this test structure. And if you guys have watched Lab Padre streams, he's already moved the camera out of the way this time so that he won't get hit with a flood of liquid nitrogen. So yeah, the line that I believe Filikid's talking about is this one right here. And this is, so what I think this is several things. Number one, it moves the massive amount of vending that you see coming from underneath this structure. And potentially like what would be the engine chill coming from underneath the Starship. Actually, hold on. I think it's only connected to one. It moves that somewhere else. So basically over here. And that makes it so that you can actually see what's happening, or better yet, SpaceX can see what's happening during testing events. But also, I'm pretty sure that when they do tests down here, that once the fluid level in the LOX tank reaches a certain point, they're no longer able to drain it. So there's no pumps out here connected to this to pump the fluid back to the storage tanks. So when the fluid level starts to like drop below the level that's in the cryo tanks, then you're basically relying on the pressure of the vehicle to push it back because, like I said, there's no pumps to refill these tanks. The pumps are one way. So at that point, like when the fluid level gets really, really low, you kind of have to just let the rest of it boil off. And I think that that is what this is for, is allowing that to boil off in this direction. And it definitely takes a long time for them to to reopen the pad after those cryo tests. So I think there could be some weight behind that, but I'm not 100% sure. And the person who I would refer to that is also the same person who asked the question.
I
So
was gonna say it's PK, isn't it?
yeah, so we're both unsure, but I think that's the most I can make sense out of it right now. And we have seen massive amounts of venting coming out of here while they were doing this testing. So
Right on. Starvision has a question and asks, have they removed any of the puck trust equipment from pad A? I think it's meant to say puck thrust puck. There we go. Have they moved any of the thrust puck equipment from pad A? So the puck ship.
no, I don't think they have yet.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure. I haven't been watching the live streams yet today because I'm on the show and also preparing for it before the show. I don't know if anybody else has seen that possibly.
I've been keeping an eye out and an ear out for it, and no, we haven't seen the puck shuckers remove yet.
Good to know. Rajo asks a question, is the new test tank already connected to cryo? So I think that's John E. Dome he's asking about.
No, it's off to the side, right? It hadn't been connected as of yet.
Yeah, sorry, I just moved away from that, but I will go back. Yeah, as you can see up at top over here, they have not connected it to anything yet. It does have a few cryo tubes hanging out near it, but I would expect. Oh yeah, we got a whole bunch of them over here. These actually aren't cryo tubes because they're not insulated. But yeah, I'm assuming that they'll be running that pipework over to this, and they may not need insulated pipework for this either. In the past, no, in the past they do lay down temporary cryo tubes, and we have some laying right here actually. So I'm sure there's probably more in and around the site that they'll probably bring out here to connect this tank. This tank to this part of the staging pad. Yeah, definitely want to keep it far away from everything. I guess they're gonna. I mean, in my opinion, it looks like they're gonna do the same thing they did with the last one and rupture this tank, test it to failure, basically,
Break that tank.
which is always fun.
Mm-hmm. Fun
I'd
to
rather
watch.
see a static fire, but that's these are things that are necessary as well. So
Well, and they all lead
Right.
to a static fire generally, no?
ideally,
Woohoo! I'll take that.
well, not this test,
So
but
we have about 7 minutes left. I'm not sure how many questions we have left. Do we need to go to rapid fire question mode?
Or did you want to
Or
show some more photos you were saying you wanted
we're
to
almost
run
going
over?
into rapid fire ground photo mode.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm not going to scroll through them too fast, but there are some really cool ones that I did want to show before we go. But sorry, go ahead with those questions, Indy.
There was a question from Route 66 Goldhound asking he knows he's behind the times where we are in the live stream, but they're asking, could they take down 10.3 and use that new high roof building that they're siting now for cone construction? So essentially that mystery building, I'm assuming.
no, that one's not near tall enough from the looks of it. So no, I don't think so.
The mystery structure.
I believe so, because they're saying the new high roof building.
Yeah, that's really far away from everything. I don't see that happening. And the door on it is not big enough.
That darn door.
Yes.
I love all the storage they have around site.
I'm wondering if they're going to continue to build more transport stands in here, because I believe this is where they put that new booster transport stand, the mini transport stand in here. And they don't have anything in here anymore, but they also haven't taken it down. So I wonder if we're going to see some more action in there. Hmm. Has this crane always been back here? This isn't the one that they used to construct it, right?
That's Spacey?
Ringo? Spacey?
It's the one with the parts that come off. Grover.
Yeah, I don't remember him being back there.
He was there earlier when you did the pictures.
The overhead ones?
Mm-hmm. I thought.
Man, I'm crazy. Okay. Well, let's continue on. um, let's see here. What else do we got?
More questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's
I'm just
another
scanning
question.
through these.
Yeah, yeah. The question is, the new Star Factory seems twice as wide as the tents. Will 2 tents fit inside?
Um, so we discussed this a little bit earlier in the show. There's a little bit of debate on this as well too. In my opinion, I think that it's that 1.5 tents can fit in there, but some people think that there could be 2, which again, I haven't done the math on that. But just based on of how many rows there are, there's 2 rows in each tent. So there's the left side and the right side. And assuming that they just take the left side and put it in 1/3 of the building, and then take the right side, put it in the second third of the building, then ideally there's enough room for 1.5 tents in that structure. So again, some folks, you guys are free to disagree. That's just what I observe, but yeah, hopefully that answers that question.
I think it does. It answered the question I had that went with it. I'm not sure if Mauricio is available or back, but there's a question asking if he'll do a flyover over old Macy's gun shop and range to see what SpaceX is doing there. And I know normally he does. Normally we get that view of Macy's, right? Macy's. Doggone it. I never
Right.
know how to pronounce it.
So this past flyover, it was pretty hard just because of the cloud coverage towards Massey's gun range. So that's the only reason why we didn't go. I couldn't get a shot of that, but I do plan on going out there. This Wednesday is a primary flyover date, so we already have a date for the flyovers on Wednesday. Backup date is on Thursday and Friday, so trying our best not to miss a flyover again this particular week. So fingers crossed we don't have issues with the aircraft or any weather restraints.
Any chance we can get a double flyover? Because I've been dying for a double flyover.
We gotta wait for a day where it's like definitely worth it. It'll come.
I mean, this week, if they do a static fire, or even next week, even if he did a Wednesday, Friday, and a Monday, or a Thursday and a Monday, I'd be happy. I'd consider that double. That's
Yeah, I've done that. I've done a double flyover trip. I've actually done a triple flyover in a single week back when the first full stack. So certainly, I think Elon hinted on that there would be a full stack potentially in I guess in the next few weeks, right? From the looks of it, so that would probably be a good opportunity to, get a double flyover in there, for that.
Well, full stacks probably at least a month away, and then they start integration testing. So I'd give it maybe 4 to 5 weeks. I'm not a naysayer. I have a list, and I know how long everything takes, and yeah.
All right, it's pretty hard to break from like things that we've seen, so it's pretty safe to say that time period is about what we should expect. I would say.
Pish.
They do need to get a full stack as soon as possible, but also consider that they may. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the claws get reinstalled before that happens.
The claw.
Where are the claws?
Have we seen the claws? I was wondering about that.
I've been searching for them for a while. No
One
claws. I think we're almost nearing the end of the show, but I want to make sure one last time before we say our final words to you guys. If you guys haven't already, if you joined us later in the show, please make sure you hit that like button. It definitely helps us out post show when everybody goes back to watch it later. And we definitely appreciate all of your guys' support. I mean, it's especially, the donations that came in this episode, amazing. And thank you guys. Hopefully Mauricio will be able to upgrade that camera very soon. And, it's not only just to upgrade, which is very important as far as like if you want, even more quality on these, being able to zoom in even further. But beyond that, just having a backup camera in general in case, it fails. And also, I mean, that we kind of ran into an issue where we thought it was failing this week as well too. So we definitely appreciate you guys donating towards that. And I'm pretty sure once Mauricio buys that camera, even if he doesn't tell you that he did it, you'll probably notice right away.
I'll definitely let you all know when I buy the camera. Today I think we tapped off at almost $1,000 in donations and support. So that's amazing. I appreciate that a lot. The camera that we're actually trying to go for, it's a Sony A7R IV, which is a 61 megapixel camera, which is a big upgrade from our Sony A7 III, which is only 24 megapixels. And it's definitely gonna take our photography to the next level, quality wise. And so yeah, we're getting there. $1,000. The camera's about $3,000 plus taxes, and obviously maybe add some insurance on that just to be on the safe side. But we're getting there. I appreciate all the support, and I guess I'll pass this along to Indian Star.
Thank you, sir. We also got 2 more donations to add to your $1,000. We have a 10-pound donation from Hoodlum 182. He says he loves the weekly flyovers, and thank you everyone for all you do. And John Dopker comes in with another $10. Thanks for everything. See you all next week. See you next week, John Dopker, and see you all next week. Thanks again for joining us for our 25th episode. So exciting. GPJ, I'll give it to you.
Alrighty, folks. It's been another great one. Big thanks to Gravely Don and Thomas for the $100 and $500 donations. And, with that, it's been another great week. Main engine cutoff. Stage separation confirmed. Love you. Bye.